5, 4, 3. Hi, everybody. Dugroz here with Dugroz Reports. Welcome to my Saturday morning live stream. Today is Saturday, November the 15th, 2025, and I'm reporting live from my house. Good to see each and every one of you on board this morning. Do you think I will keep today's session under 2.5 hours and finish by noon Central Time? Ooh, that's going to be challenging because I was gone last week. Last week, I was in San Juan, Puerto Rico. And that's actually today's theme of the day is the Puerto Rico breakdown. You probably know there was a Points and Miles creator meetup for us small-time creators and fans of said channels down in San Juan last weekend. So I'm going to go over how that went. Not necessarily the breakdown of exactly how I paid for it, but sort of the broad overview. And I see we're at the time of year, the time of day where I have the Venetian blind dots on my face, but that's all right. We can just roll with those punches. Let's see who's on board this morning. By the way, if you can hear me okay, just let me know in the comment section. Bill Wright, good to see you, Bill. Matt Clausen, Dad on a Mission. Nuracan. John R. from Jarn's Credit and Travel is here. Not only is he here, he drops one super chat. Celebrate, celebrate. Thank you so much, John. I really appreciate it. Before we started, I had to make a quick bathroom trip. DEM has arrived and gives a raise of the hand. Thanks for being on board. 39 and some numbers. I'm just going to call you 39 if that's okay. I don't think we've met before. If we have, I've forgotten. Good to see you. Good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday. I agree. Nope, DEM, it was not that. Dennis Dunn is on board and says, I saw those pictures, you wild man. Well, guess what? You're going to see a few more. Juan Garcia from the MIA says, good morning, Doug. Pleasure meeting you at the meetup. Likewise, Juan, you're going to be in some of those pictures. They Hate Me is here. Matt says, Dugroz, I see what you did there with the quick trip. And MR says, hopefully he does something special for his 100th live. Very observant. Today is Dugroz Reports live number 99. So next week, what will it be? I haven't made anything official yet, but I'm thinking I do have something in mind. Now, it's not going to be so special it's over the top. I'm not going to go to the Des Moines Civic Center and fly in 10 special guests or anything like that. But maybe something a little out of the ordinary at least. Ian's on board. Here we go. He's back. That's true. Mi hermano, Cesar Joel is on board. How you doing, hermano? So good to see you last week, and thanks for being here. Yuri G is on board. Saw you last week, Yuri, multiple times. So many data points, says Ian. Let's see. Rewards Master is here to ask this question. Dugroz, did you ever finish that giant pork chop? Nope. It just sat in the mini fridge at the hotel, and hopefully somebody threw it away. I did put it on the counter, so it'd be easier for them to throw it away. Got to see Rewards Master on part of last weekend. Also, think we're 5 by 5 on the sound, says MR. And let's see. Juan also says the sound is good. Bill Wright became a member. Hey, that's awesome. That's just as good as a $3 super chat. Celebrate, celebrate. Thank you, Bill, for becoming a member. And I guess this is a good time to transition into how you can support my channel. So I do have one and only one membership level. It's called a Dugroz Diehard. It's only $3 per month. You can cancel anytime. I've got over 60 members only videos. If you want to sign up, binge them and then cancel, I won't be offended. Other ways you can support me are to donate a membership. You can give a super chat or super sticker. All of that helps out the channel. I also have a tip jar link down below. It's the very first link in the description box. If you want to give in a way where a little higher percentage of it is kept by me, YouTube takes a more healthy cut. But don't get me wrong, any form is appreciated. If you want to donate anonymously, you can use that tip jar. That reminds me, I need to load up my tip jar so I can recognize those who do so. I'm scheduled to get new glasses, and they came in yesterday, and I haven't got them yet. So hopefully real soon here, I can get new glasses so I can stop going like this and looking through the bottom of my bifocals when I have to look up something new. 80% of whatever you donate after YouTube takes their cut goes to help this channel, reinvested in technology, special projects, etc. I'll have at least one mention of how I use some of those funds. 80% is towards that, 20% my family budget, because this is like a part-time job, so need to give some of the money to support the family. Cesar says, it was great to see you again, mi hermano. Thanks for coming to the meetup and support. You're welcome, and thank you for all you did to spearhead it. Cesar, there in your home island. DEM is laughing, presumably at the bathroom thing. And John says, quick bathroom pit stop at the Come and Go. Come and Go is going out of business. They're becoming Mavericks. DEM thought that was pretty savage. Studio TK drops a $1.49 super sticker. Celebrate. Thank you, Studio. I love your squirrel avatar. There's a standing offer, and it applies today. Anybody who donates exactly $1.49 as displayed on the screen gets 1,000 Dugroz points. So there you go, Studio. There's your 1,000 Dugroz points. 39 says, I'm normally Cognito Ergo Sum. I'm not sure why YouTube changed my name. Oh, okay. So not new. Yeah, I don't understand it either. So I think today is one of the days where it's showing the long form names. Like instead of just DEM, it has all the numbers behind it. Bill Wright has all the numbers behind his name. Juan has all the numbers, and not numbers, but characters behind his name. So don't know. Ian MK says, KM says, number 100 would be my first live guest. No, I think I'm probably not going to be doing live guests on my live stream. Other things I will. And technically, I did have John R. when we were in New Orleans a little over a year ago on my show, but he only made like 2 comments, then sat in the background. That makes it sound like I'm mean, like I wouldn't let him talk. I hope it doesn't come across like that. Pam and M Newbie says, good morning. Sounds like PR was great. Absolutely. Also, where's the 2026 meetup? I'm unsure if that has been announced yet or not. So there will be one, is all I can tell you. Cesar, are you on board? Do you know if the next year's meetup has been officially announced or not? Let me know. John says, yes, I was on the New Orleans stream. Absolutely. So technically my first live guest, but depending on how you look at that. Okay, well, you know what time of morning it is. It's time to get into what we call the Dugroz data points. This is anything around the world of points, miles, cash back, and more that just piques my interest. Before I dive into that, though, I'll just give a quick update here. Cesar says it has been officially announced. Next year, 2026, we're meeting in Charleston, South Carolina, Labor Day weekend. Anthony Venture will be the host. That is in the state that he resides in, South Carolina. Charleston, made in Carolina. We'll all go there and do the Charleston. And there's a lot of historical buildings and stuff, so that excites me. First Dugroz data point here. I'm going to talk about Wyndham a little more. And I know you're like, oh, more Wyndham Dugroz. Well, I like to put ribbons on things and not leave things hanging. So even though the Vacasa thing went away, I feel like I need to finish my accounting. So 3 weeks ago, I think it was roughly 3 weeks ago, I took advantage of this special thing. Stay 2 nights, earn a free night. If you stay 2 nights at any Wyndham, you get 7,500 bonus rewards. Plus, if you have the card and you use the card to pay for that stay, you also get another 7,500 points. So I went to look at the foliage in southern Minnesota and northern Iowa, and it was very foliage-ish. And I got up to 114,000 Wyndham points by doing so. That was after the intrinsic 7,500 points posted. But at that point, the bonus for using the card had not yet posted. And it said it will by the end of the year. However, I'm pleased to report, hold on, I clicked the wrong button. I'm pleased to report that that is now updated. So here's my Barclays activity. Here was the original earnings, 7,500 points plus whatever I earned on the stay baked in. That's from the credit card. These 2 are from other things, so ignore these. But here it is right here on the 12th. 3 days ago, I got 7,500 additional points posted. So now my Wyndham total is up to 124,000 and change. And that fulfills the obligation. So just remembering the math here, we had 7,500 from the 2-night promo offer. Points earned intrinsically on the stay, 1,983. 397 for my 20% bump for being in Diamond Mayor. That's 9880. And just to show you, that was honored right here, 9880. And then the other points from card, 1777. Points from the card bonus, 7,500. That's 19,157. And both of those were honored as well. Right here, we have our 1777 from using the card. I don't know why they call it accelerated earnings. Why don't they just say earnings at Wyndham Properties or something? And then up here, the 7,500 bonus points. So everything checks out. Now, what's funny is I paid for some gas on that trip, and that came out here. I got some shop and earn points. I bought something online. I don't even remember what it was before the Vacasa devaluation was announced. I was like, oh, it's giving like 4 points per dollar at Vacasa. I'll use that. Or at Wyndham. Funny, foot in the mouth. I'll use that. So everything did come out correctly mathematically, which is good to know. The only time I've ever done a mattress run was with Wyndham, and they never posted the bonus points for using the card. So at least Wyndham's 1 for 2 on mattress run type stuff, although it wasn't really a mattress run. I stayed there. So those 19,157 points I valued at 1.25 cents per point. That's $239 in value. I only paid $222 for the hotel. So I actually came out ahead in terms of dollars and cents by about $17. So you could think of it like Wyndham gave me $17 to stay in their hotel. Now, having said that, of course, that 1.25 is going to be harder to hit now that Vacasa is off the table. At the end of this month, you can no longer use Wyndham rewards to book Vacasas, and you cannot book any after, like you can't book a stay that starts later than January 31st. So I'm putting some thought into, like, I did briefly ask Mrs. Dugroz, Deborah's, if she wanted to go to like the Panhandle of Florida in late January just to get away from it. She's like, maybe it'd have to be a direct flight. So kind of brewing this over in terms of how I might use those points or just save it for a cottage in the United Kingdom. Shrug. I'm not really sure. So that puts to bed the whole Wyndham thing. Now I'll catch up on comments. Sorry, I'm a little behind schedule. By the way, we do have 49 people on board. So if you've not yet done so, please click the thumbs up button. That helps drive more people in here. Dennis says, you guys had a blast in Puerto Rico. That is true. Yuri G says, Olive Boutique Small Luxury Hotel was great. 15 rooms total, but rooms are kind of small. Yuri stayed at the Olive Boutique after leaving the DoubleTree, which is where I was staying too. Yuri and I were there at the same time. MR says, Anthony's ghost buddy better be there in Charleston. Matt says, may or may not be in on Meetup, but reasons. Okay, if you want to share, you can, but don't feel obligated. DEM said Charleston would be cool. I'll drive up. DEM, I'm sorry, I'm having a memory issue here. Did I meet you at the meetup? Let me know. Dennis says Dugroz math is always 100. Thank you. I appreciate it. And Tweezy says, wait. I just got here. So no more Vacasa with Wyndham? Oh, too easy. Well, first of all, thanks for being here. Secondly, where were you? Go back and watch the episode from 2 weeks ago. That's what it was all about. You must have missed that one. All is forgiven, of course. But yes, unfortunately, the Wyndham and Vacasa partnership is going away on the last day of November for bookings and for the last day of January for when you can actually make the stays. Bill says, Wyndham points transfer 1-to-1. I'm not sure what transfers 1-to-1. Capital One does. I think City does. Transfer to Wyndham 1-to-1. Or are you suggesting Dugroz points should transfer 1-to-1? Yuri says, I can also drive to Charleston. I thought of that because you live in the state of Tennessee. Bill Wright says, to Caesar's Rewards, you could use that for stays or restaurants. Oh, thank you. Okay, thank you for clarifying, Bill. Do they have a Caesars in like the rural areas of West Virginia where you go look at waterfalls, or in upstate New York where you go look at presidents' graves? It could be a good redemption, but it's not really my style per se. DEM says, I wanted to go, but I missed it. Nurican says, what was your favorite meal in Puerto Rico? Don't worry, that'll be presented a little later. Was Costa Rica the week prior? Oh, this is a statement, not a question. I was in Costa Rica the week prior. Oh, too bad. I would have stood on the west edge of the island and waved at you if it was the same week. Tweet says, then what's the point for the Wyndham business card anymore? Excellent question. There is a use case for using it on Wyndhams themselves and cottages.com in the United Kingdom, but I won't get into that right now. Flying Ryan is here. How you doing, Flying? Can't stay for the live, but I'll drop a thumbs up and catch you on the replay. Sounds good to hear from a fellow native Iowan. Let's move along to the next series of Dugroz data points here. So 2 weeks ago, while doing my live stream, I was staying at the Hyatt Place in East Moline, Illinois. That's in the Quad Cities. There's 4 cities right on the border of Illinois and Iowa. 2 on Iowa side, 2 on the Illinois side. And that's where I stayed. Took my son to a chess tournament. So I don't count it as a rip trip because this is more of a family obligation type thing. But sometimes points and miles even helps out with family obligations. So while staying at that Hyatt Place, I just wanted to point out these 2 things that kind of annoyed me. I'll do them in reverse order. First of all, barn doors on the bathroom. Take a look there. What do you see there? You see that strip of light? You can stand on the outside of the bathroom even when it's locked and see right into it. Can we please get a petition going to bring back regular doors, especially for bathrooms? Although I did see a picture somewhere of a hotel that like had a clear glass wall between the toilet and the rest of the room. And I'm like, who is coming up with these things? Nobody thinks on their honeymoon, you know what I really want to see? I want to see my wife using the toilet. The other thing about the Hyatt Place in East Moline, Illinois that tripped my trigger a little bit, grinded my gears, I rarely take a razor with me, a shaving razor, when traveling. I know I have a beard, but like right here next to my mustache and down here, I want to avoid the neck beard. So I shave that lower third or lower half. So I went to the front desk, said, do you have a complimentary shaving kit? And they said, no, we don't have complimentary shaving kits, but you're welcome to buy one in the pantry. Want to guess how much it costs? Well, there's a picture of me holding a little plastic razor in a bag. Oop, kind of hard to see. I don't know if I can. Shaving razor, shaving foam, $3 and $3. $6 for a shaving kit. I'm like, well, forget that. I'm just not going to shave today. So I didn't shave. Shame on you. You should give those away for free, Hyatt House / Hyatt Place. Yuri G says, I'll still keep 2 Wyndham business cards, use them for gas, but not utilities. Yeah, Yuri has said before, and he travels 15 times more than I do, that the Wyndham properties themselves are worth doing. And Olive Boutique has the glass shower. Did you show me the picture? Is it like you can see from the bed directly into the shower area? Matt says, I think the barn door is for safety if they ever needed to handle situations that would demonetize. I'm not picking up what you're laying down, Matt. If you want to provide more detail, by all means. Next Dugroz data point. This is obscure, but you know what I like? Obscure. Air St. Pierre's fascinating domestic transatlantic flight is returning in 2026. So if you don't know what this is referencing, just off the coast of the Maritimes in Canada, it's either Nova Scotia or New Brunswick or Newfoundland, one of those. There are 2 little islands, just small islands, like smaller than Long Island, New York, that are owned by France, St. Pierre and Miquelon. They are actual territories of France, similar to like how we in America have Puerto Rico. France has St. Pierre and Miquelon. And history buff nerd out moment. This goes back to the French and Indian War, also known as the 7 Years' War, when Britain fought France and Britain won. Britain took over all of what we now consider Canada, except for those 2 islands. France negotiated to keep those. So there's like 6,000 people that are French citizens who live, a mile off the coast of Canada. There's this airline that runs domestic flights between Paris and St. Pierre. I think it's once a week, and it's coming back. Now, they're kind of expensive. It's hard to get to, but man, the nerdy part of me wants to take this flight. It's like a 6.5 hour long domestic flight within France. So I just thought that was kind of cool. If any of you have ever flown this or plan to fly it, by all means, speak up. Yuri says you can see into the shower from the bed. Why? Studio TK says, I do wonder if there's going to be further Wyndham devaluations between the new 100% bonus for buying points offer and the new holiday 5x base point offer for Diamond members for effectively 50x. Yeah, I looked into that. I don't have any data points about that, but I need to smallenize myself here. I ran the math. It's not worth doing a mattress run on that, by the way, if you're just doing it as a mattress run, because I think it was the equivalent of buying Wyndham points for 1.5 cents per point, and that's not really very good. However, I don't think the devaluation would come due to this promo. It's just not a long enough promo. It's only between now and the end of the year. But I do wonder if there'll be further Wyndham devaluations down the road. Can't help to think the Wyndham Ward chart's about to be seriously devalued. Yeah, I would say that I would agree with that, although I would say it's probably more from just it hasn't been done in a long time. You know, their base level properties like a travel lodge in a crappy part of town spent 7,500 points, and then most of them are at 15,000 points, and some are at 30,000. I wouldn't be surprised if it shifts to like 10, 25, and 50 or something like that. Mertz is here. How you doing, Mertz? Just finished an excellent miniseries on Netflix about James Garfield and Charles Guiteau called Death by Lightning. Have you been to his grave? I have not yet been to the grave of James A. Garfield. It is definitely on the list. And Charles Guiteau is the guy who assassinated him. Thank you for nerding out with me. I really appreciate it. This is just a funny data point. In fact, it's not even a data point. It's just a funny. This showed up in my YouTube feed. You know, when you scroll on your phone, it'll put one video over the other. There's a video of friend of the channel and fellow creator JP Knowledge wearing like a blue pullover. And in the video just below him was some guy with a blue pullover and jeans. I don't know if he's playing a board game or some sort of obscure musical instrument, but it looks like JP is going to tell us about his American Express cards while playing this weird instrument thing. I just thought it was funny. Mertz drops $1.99. Celebrate. Thank you for your patronage, Mertz. Hey, we're up to 50 people, so go ahead and keep on clicking that like button. Yuri says Wyndham used to have all properties of 15K, then they changed to 7.5, 15, and 30. Matt says Garfield was arguably murdered by doctors. Yep, I agree with that because they kept poking around inside his wounds because back in the day it was super cool to do that without washing your hands. However, that argument was presented at the trial of Guiteau, and the jury was like, nah, you need to be executed. Dr. Bliss did not believe in invincible monster germs. Yuri says 60K point transfers to Caesars and back till end of the year. Oh, okay, good to know. Thank you. Next Dugroz data point, if I can get it to load here. All right, so I mentioned that I use some of the money you guys donate to reinvest in the channel. One of those things I reinvested in was AirTags, and multiple fans suggested that. One of them was Chad Pennycuff. There's probably others, because when I flew to from England to Vienna, Austria last summer, KLM lost 2 of our bags, and somebody asked, "Did you put AirTags in them?" I'm like, no, I didn't. So now I have AirTags. So I have one for my crossbody bag, one for my backpack, one for my luggage, and yeah. Now that I used them, I didn't lose anything, of course, but it's good to know that I have them. Thank you for helping me invest in those, channel. I used my channel profits to pay for those AirTags. Next data point, this is hat tip to Yuri G, who's on board right now. I knew the concept, but I didn't know it could be looked up on your app. If you have the Wyndham Aeroplan card, you can only spend 200,000. I said Wyndham Aeroplan card. If you have the Chase Aeroplan card, you can only use 200,000 points per year to pay yourself back on travel at, boom, 1.25 cents per point. There's a way to track that. So if you go to the benefits of the card and then click on real-time rewards, and you have to like click expand to show all or something like that, within the travel box, you can click track, and it shows you out of that 200,000 points per year how many of you've used. I've used a little more now, but at the time I did the screenshot, just over 101,000, so about halfway. Thanks, Yuri. Helpful info. I appreciate it. Next Dugroz data point is there is an offer that my dad got. His name is John, Jon, much like John R., friend of the channel. to upgrade his no annual fee Hilton Honors card to the Hilton Surpass card, which was 75,000 Hilton points after spending 3,000 in 6 months. If you're a low spender, that's a really easy target to hit. Now, in my dad's case, because he's applying for Medicaid, there's a lot of complicated rules I won't get into. He can't open any new cards right now, but there's nothing preventing him from doing a product change. So that was locked in by my dad. Well, I helped him do it, of course. But yeah, I'm his trustee and all that. Good offer, helps us out. And when you're paying for nursing homes and assisted living, it's not going to be too hard to hit that $3,000 in 6 months. Could probably hit that $3,000 in about 3 days, frankly. Let's go back to catching up with the comments here. Studio TK says, the Wyndham I always stay has one of those 30K properties, but the times I go, it always hits $400 or more per night. So the math still checks out for now. So you're getting at least 1.25 cents per point. Matt says, I got the same Hilton offer, so now I have a Surpass. Celebrate. Awesome. Welcome to the Surpass Club, Matt. All right. You know what time it is? It's time for America's new favorite game. Say it with me. We don't take Amex. There were 2 entries in the We Don't Take Amex Club in Puerto Rico proper that I ran into. So this is at a parking garage that I went to. I went there with 3 or 4 guys, and you'll see it later in the show. And then I went there later with Chad Pennycuff, and the sign says, "No acceptamos, American Express." Translated, we don't accept American. Well, I was American, they accepted me. So I have to assume they mean we don't accept American Express. They did take MasterCard because that's what I paid with, my Aeroplan, and then boom, paid myself back. The first time I went, it was like $5. And the second time I went, it was like $1.10. So these aren't big charges, but they are charges. And then the second instance was at a restaurant called Martin's Barbecue that Chad and I ate at. And they say, no acceptamos, American Express. Now, I only hablo español un poco. Hablo español muy mal. However, I think I'm able to translate this one. We don't accept American Express. If you want to eat at Martin's Barbecue, you better use Visa, MasterCard, or Discover. One of those. So add 2 more to the list. Yuri says, in Colombia, I stayed at a Howard Johnson for $7.5K per night. Also in Ramada, Belize City for $7.5K. I didn't know Howard Johnson was a Wyndham property. I probably should. Man, back in the 80s, they were like the king of hotels. Hojos. Yuri says, a beach property in Santa Maria, Colombia for $15K. Hey, Chad's ears must have been burning. Remember when we went to the barbecue place and no acceptamos American Express? Dennis says, the Hilton Surpass card has great multipliers, great to rack points. Depends on how you think about it. Depends on how much simplicity you want. It's a good card. I have it. Studio TK says, on that Aeroplan card, is there any news if the 1.25 PYB is extended 2026? That's still up in the air. The card is on the get list next year. There's not any official word, but I will say this. For a long time, there was wording on their terms and conditions like pay yourself back as an option through the end of 2024, through mid-2025, through the end of 2025. At the last extension, which I think was January 1st of this year, they capped it at $200,000 a year and took away that temporary language. So it seems to be permanent, at least as permanent as anything is in the world of points and miles. Depending on who you ask, different lawyers' interpretations of things. If they cut benefits, they have to give at least a year notice or at least 6 months notice or something like that. I don't think at this point there would be any changes. So I think it's going to remain exactly the same. Can't prove it, but that is my somewhat educated speculation. Hat tip to somebody on Discord. Samuel Wilson gave me this information. There are a couple offers with Chase right now for bonuses. You can transfer from Chase to Marriott Bonvoy with a 70% bonus. And that goes through the end of this month, through the end of November. And then as far as the next one, Virgin Atlantic has a 40% bonus. And for time frame, I just wrote see next image. Did I actually capture the next image? Nope, that's not it. Okay, I forgot to capture the image. Maybe someone can help me out. There's like an early bird transfer bonus of 40% that I think goes between now and November 21st, which would be Friday of next week, roughly. And then it drops from 40 down to 30 between November 22nd and December 5th or something like that. So if you're thinking about hopping on Virgin, you'll want to do it during that first tranche. I don't have the tranches memorized. I love saying the word tranche. It makes me sound so fancy. But if somebody else does, by all means, let us know. Matt says, Surpass plus Rove will be my Hilton jam. Checks out. I need to do like a revisit of Hilton sometimes. There's just been so many changes, but I've not got around to it yet. I went to Puerto Rico and used my Hilton Surpass. Speak of the devil. Not the devil. Speak of the card. And the only thing I used it for is after the first night, I went up to the front desk. I was like, could I make a one-time lump sum payment towards my folio of $50, but not put it on the card I have on file? I want to put on a separate card and leave the card on file the same. The card on file, of course, was the Aeroplan card for obvious reasons. Anything you get in the pantry or at the restaurant inside the hotel, parking charges, code is travel because they flow through your hotel bill. So I wanted those to go to Aeroplan so I could pay myself back, but I wanted to use my $50 quarterly credit because this is the last Hilton stay I have planned of the year. And it worked. So I asked them to charge $50. They did it. And like 2 business days later, that $50 credit shows up. So good to know the Hilton Surpass credit is still working. Just humorous here. Sometimes when you're watching YouTube, instead of an ad, they'll ask you a survey. And this survey was right up our alley. Which of these credit cards have you heard of? Amex Blue Cash, Chase Sapphire, Capital One, Apple Card. Yeah, I've heard of all those. I know more than you. I like how 1, 2, and 4 are specific cards, kind of. But 3 is just Capital One, as though there's only one Capital One card. At one time there was, and I had it and still have it, although it's now a Venture X. Next data point here. There's been some news related to the no annual fee Inc. business cards. But before that news kicked in, I did my Hail Mary. I did an episode on that several weeks ago and was approved for an Inc. Unlimited. I am pleased to report I have now hit the sign-up bonus and those points have posted. So right here, the regular spend was 10.9 and the sign-up bonus was 90. Plus, I think this was before they cut the refer a friend. I think my wife got 20 or something like that. So yeah, functionally about 120,000 points on that. So ding, 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 ding. Got my sub on the Inc. Unlimited. But there is bad news to pass along on that front. Hat tip to frequent miler. Chase adds lifetime language to no annual fee Inc. cards. So the Inc. Business Unlimited and the Inc. Business Cash now have wording in the terms and conditions that say it's the may language. If you've ever had a bonus on one of these cards before, we may deny you a sign-up bonus. So this kind of sounds like the whole pop-up jail type thing that we all know has been coming to Chase now apparently applies to those Inc. cards as well. No more Inc. train, or at least a very difficult, less chuggy Inc. train. We've got 51 people on board. We've been having difficulty lately getting up into the 80s. So let's see if we can do that here. Yuri says, is Rove for paid bookings only? Not anymore. They just added fully refundable bookings. Now, of course, those are a little more expensive, and I think you earn slightly fewer points, and you have to wait for the points to post to make sure you actually stayed. But yeah, they have them now. Juan says, thoughts on the lifetime language on Chase Inc. cards? No, sir. I don't like it. I don't like it at all, but I'm not surprised. Next Dugroz data point here. This is weird. This is just plain weird. I got a check in the mail this week. Well, technically, my wife got a check in the mail from the Virginia Surety Company for $158.57. And I thought to myself, that's weird. I'm not expecting any insurance payouts. Surety is one of those insurance-y type words. And I look on the stub in the memo line. I've actually got it right here, but it has some confidential info, so I'm not going to show it, the paper version on camera. It has a claim number, and it says benefit type, baggage delay insurance, and card provider Chase, and then a phone number for the benefits administrator. Well, if you remember the saga, when we flew between Manchester, United Kingdom, and Vienna, Austria this past summer, we had a layover in Amsterdam with KLM. And the bags made it from Manchester to Amsterdam, but there was a scanning error, and they didn't make it from Amsterdam to Vienna. So 2 of our 4 bags were delayed by 2 full days. So I bought some, like a charger. I bought some over-the-counter medication, got dry cleaning at the hotel to be able to use the clothes. Went through a lot of rigmarole to convince KLM that they need to pay me. Well, the way the travel insurance works, this was on my wife's Aeroplan card, which has the exact same baggage delay as like the Chess Sapphire Preferred or Reserved does. I think it's a delay of more than 6 hours. Don't quote me on that, but it has at least as good as the CSP, if not the CSR. The wording in the benefits for the Aeroplan card say, you have to file a claim within 10 days, maybe 10 business days, of when your bags were delayed. Otherwise, we reserve the right to deny the claim. Well, of course, it's going to take KLM way more than 10 business days to make a decision. So this is really dumb, is my thought process. But I have to file a claim before I even know if the airline will reimburse me. If the airline gives me all my money back, then I don't have a valid claim. So I submitted the claim, everything except there was a requirement that says you have to submit proof that the airline did not reimburse you or denied you reimbursement for things that happened on the delay. So I did everything except that. I uploaded my tickets, I uploaded receipts of the things I bought, and it just went into like a pending status, just hung out there. Eventually, it took over a month, well over a month, but KLM did eventually pay us the $158. So I was like, oh, okay, don't need this insurance claim. And there was even a email or a message box message I got from Assurant. Well, my wife got it, that says, Dear Deborah, we have not received information needed to review and process your baggage claim. Please provide the following: copy of the settlement or denial of payment from the common carrier, example, the airline, cruise line, etc., payment confirmation, denial, vouchers, credits, refunds, etc. So they even sent me a message on October 17th saying, we don't have what we need to process your claim. I took no action, and they went ahead and paid my claim. How does that make sense? I work for an insurance company. That would be like if somebody said, yeah, I have a life insurance claim for my dad. He has life insurance with you. He's in the hospital. He hasn't died yet. I just want to get things ready to go. They're like, oh, okay. They wait 3 months. And they're like, here's your check. He hasn't died yet. So this is sort of one of those weird, like, ethical questions. They screwed up. Do I have an obligation to contact Chase Benefits or Virginia Surety and say, yeah, I double dipped here. I want to do the right thing. I'm pretty sure, although I didn't save it, I even went into their message portal and sent them a message that said something like, hey, KLM ended up reimbursing us, so you can cancel this claim. In my mind, I did that, but the way the portal works is once a message is sent, it doesn't save a copy, and I didn't take any screenshots, so I can't say that with certainty. So let me know what you think about that whole thing. 59 people on board. We're getting real close to 60. Keep on clicking thumbs up. A super chat or two wouldn't bother me. The offer of extra Dugroz points, if you drop drop exactly 149, would be appreciated. Yuri says, Rove doesn't work for award stays, ? I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that. I know, like, Many properties, if you pay with Rove, it flows through and you can put in your member number and still get your status recognized. Is that what you mean? Matt says, stop publishing exploits. That's a general message. Was that reference to something I said earlier? What exploits are we talking here? I don't know. If you want to provide more detail, you can. Sleepy Rod says, was hoping to hit Ink Train hard when I fell under 524, but it does seem like it's over. Kind of seems that way. Sam K from the UK is here. Hello, everyone. How you doing, Sam? Hey, it's been a hot minute since you've jumped on board. Hey, we do have 62 people on board. Keep on smashing that like button. Thank you very much. Next Dugroz data point here. This is from Capital One, and they say, new debit card, same great bank. Here's what you need to know. Capital One is switching its debit card network to Discover Network. Now, I actually already covered this. We knew this was coming, but this was in my email. Oh boy, sorry. Time out for asthma. Woo, sorry about that. I got this in my email inbox. So I have a Capital One checking account and savings account. I don't really use the checking account for anything other than like it's a backup to my Charles Schwab account because if I travel, there's no foreign transaction fees, there's no withdrawal fees, that kind of stuff. So it's a backup plan if I'm traveling outside the United States. And then the savings account I keep just for savings and stuff. You know how it's supposed to be used. But I just thought it was interesting that my debit card is going to be replaced with a Discover card soon. Tom Graber gifted 1 Dugroz Reports membership. Thank you so much, Tom. Celebrate. Very meaningful. That's just as good as a $3 super chat. Yuri says, if you book with hotel points, will they give you any points from Rove? No, you have to book with Rove itself. Ink Cards and Ink Train is what Matt was referencing for saying stop publishing exploits. That's a general message. Studio TK says you can use Rove points to book stays as far as I know, but not hotel points through Rove. I've not booked yet, but I plan to soon. Yeah, you can use Rove points to book hotels through Rove. There's not any way to use Hilton points in the Rove platform or Hyatt or Marriott or anything like that. Next Dugroz data point. This is a hat tip to Mike Newland, who sent me this message on Discord. If you're a channel member, you can hook me up, look me up, whatever, on Discord and send me info for data points. Mike Newland said he got his Rakuten payout via Bilt. It happened so quickly, I didn't think it would get here in time, but it did. Congratulations, Michael. Your everyday purchase paid off. Your quarterly Rakuten cash back payments was deposited to your account as Bilt points. You've earned censored Bilt points on shopping with Rakuten this quarter. And then I asked him, did it work pretty seamlessly? He's like, yeah, it's already in my Bilt account. So that's pretty cool. So rumor confirmed. Next data point here. So I'm trying to remember why I shared this data point. Oh, yes. Well, this is sort of like a data point plus the Dugroz Eats segment. This kind of looks like Puerto Rico, but it's not. This is actually after I got back to Des Moines, Iowa, and ate at a local Mexican restaurant that's a big fan of mine. I'm using my work computer there. I've censored out what's on my work computer because it's my work computer. I had to do some super boring computer-based training. I don't normally work at a restaurant, but in this case, it was literally just sit there and watch a video. I'm sure if you work in the corporate world, you've been there before. But this was super disappointing. They've started charging a different rate between cash and non-cash. So 19.25, 20.02. If I remember correctly, that was around 4% or really close to 4%. Let me do the math. 20.05 minus 19.25, that's 80 cents. Divide that into 19.25. That's 4.1%. So I'm like, come on, guys. Come on, Juan. cut me some slack here. I don't want my favorite restaurant to be one where I have to pay 4% extra. But que sera, sera. With all the, not all the, but the MasterCard and Visa lawsuit on the verge of being settled, subject to approval by the judge, might be seeing more of this in the near future. Let's take a quick look here. Sam says, Dugroz, maybe do a stream from the UK on your next visit. You could name the stream Dugroz Does UK. Yeah, not a bad idea. Yuri G says, so not Rue for me since I never do paid stays. Correct. If you never do paid stays, there's really no benefit. Yuri also did a Rakuten payout to Built. Never had so many points at Built yet. Awesome. Miles of Smiles is on board and donates 20 Dugroz Reports memberships. Whoa, celebrate. Thank you so much, Miles of Smiles. I appreciate it. Is this the superhero formerly known as Mike Newland? I have a speculation, but I don't want to be overly presumptive. Thank you so much. Don Kim is here and drops a W to feed the algorithm. Sleepy Rod says, Mike the Myth, the legend has arrived. And PDX Beach says, don't they already charge different prices for gas and not tell you? It depends on the gas station. By the way, how you doing, PDX? I assume you mean like some gas stations will have a cash price and a card price. There's one particular gas station over on the west side of the Des Moines area, right next to the freeway, that has a big old electronic billboard, and it says like gas price, I'm making something up here, $3 a gallon, cash discount $2.96 per gallon. So they postulated or put it forward as though it's a cash discount. I think we all know it's basically a surcharge. Last but not least, this is kind of cool. I got an offer, or maybe, no, I didn't. I think it was my mom. Got an offer for opening an Amex business checking account. 70,000 MR points. Oh my word. When I did it, it was like a promo with the business platinum. Like the business platinum was 150. The checking account was 50. Now you can do it all by itself and get 70,000. So if you've not yet done this, I mean, who knows? Amex keeps going higher and higher, but it feels like that's the highest it's ever been that I know of. So what do you have to do to get the 70,000 MR points through a Amex business checking account? Well, Jim, you have to apply and then deposit a total of $15,000 or more within 30 days, leave it in the account for 60 days, and make 5 or more qualifying transactions. I'm not sure what qualifying transactions are for sure, but I know 2 of them are using their service to do a bill pay payment or a debit card payment. When I signed up, I think I went to the gas station and bought like $1 worth of gas 3 times to hit 3 of the 5, and then I sent a couple bill pays, and that triggered it. So, yeah, that is the final Dugroz data point. We'll get into the main event in just a few moments here. Let me know if you have done the 70,000 point offer on the Amex business checking account. Sam K says, thanks, Miles. You're an absolute legend. Did you end up paying with your credit card or cash at the restaurant? I went ahead and paid with my credit card. I used my PayPal. Did I use my PayPal debit card? No. I used my Bonvoy card where I'm still working on a sign-up bonus. So obviously working on a sign-up bonus, a 4% surcharge is still worthwhile, but it still rubs me the wrong way. Don Kim says there used to be a self-service gas price and a full-service gas price. I think Oregon is still full-service gas. I think New Jersey is also. Yuri says, I'd pay with a card anyway since I get 5x thank you points. Agreed. And Mike Newland is, in fact, Miles of Smile. Says, how did your son do at the chess tournament? He did fair to midland. Not the best, not the worst, just kind of in that meaty middle. Thank you for asking. I appreciate it. But he likes doing it, so I'm happy to take him. I think we're ready to transition into the theme of the day. Now I need to decide if I do my biology break now or later. I'm like right on the border. I think I'd rather do it now than breaking things up. So if you're unsure what I mean by that, what I mean is I'm going to go to the bathroom. And while I'm going to the bathroom, all you have to do is sit there and stare at the wall. And if you get an ad, just watch it for at least 30 seconds because it'll be at least 30 seconds. But I'll try my best to keep it under 2 minutes. Let's see how I do here. I will come back. I pretty much guarantee it. So enjoy this copyright-free music. BRB. Almost there. Almost there. Almost there. Stay on target. Almost there. All right, I'm back. Thank you, everyone. Hey, we've cleared 70 people on board. Good news. Keep on smashing the thumbs up button. Any donation, big or small, helps. Even 99 cents. I'll take it. Checking the tip jar to see if I've received any anonymous donations or tips. Not yet. All right. So we press ahead. Why is my head so small? Looks like all the ratios are messed up. Let's bring the camera towards me a little. There we go. That's a bit better. Back to the comments here to make sure I'm on track. Filmo has arrived. Mr. The Dugroz. It was great to see you in PR. Such a great meetup. Thanks, Filmo. Great to see you too. Stay on board. We're going to talk about you and others. PDX Beach says Oregon does have self-service, but the price is the same as full service. Studio TK says, I waited as long as I could before I product changed my US bar to a Cash Plus on Thursday. It was day 28 after the AF. Sorry that worked out with bad timing. That means you don't get to stick around to see who the transfer partners are. Sam says, a stream. Is this the Lou break? Sure is, Mike. Sam says, the music is skipping while playing. Sorry. Anybody else let me know if there's problems with that. New Again says, you didn't get a retention offer? And QC Man says, what if happens if you wait to change after day 28? Would you get a prorated annual fee refund or no refund? I know American Express gives prorated refunds. I've never tried it with US Bank. Yuri says, I think US Bar is still a keeper. If they have transfer partners and you cash out more than $25,000, and if you cash out, then it's $25 more expensive than Robinhood Gold. I got you. Fleet Easily has arrived. Good morning, y'all. Hey, great. Yuri says, if you don't get any retention. Studio says, no retention offer. Only product change was offered pretty much every card they had, though. Sam says, could Target Store be named by robbers because of the Target name? Yeah, probably. Yuri says, we don't have any special gas price here in Tennessee. Sam says, no wonder American vehicles aren't efficient. They're running on gas. Try using a liquid. I see what you did there. We use petrol. We just call it gasoline for whatever reason. And yes, we abbreviate it gas, which is weird because in chemistry, gas means a vapor. I get that. Grizzlies is on board. What's up, Dugroz? Happy to see everyone having a great time in PR. Hoping to meet you and my other favorite creators at next year's meetup. Have you heard that it's going to be in Charleston, South Carolina on Labor Day weekend? Excellent. All right. Well, what time is it now, folks? It's time for the theme of the day. Theme of the day. And what is the theme of the day today? It's the Puerto Rico Roundup. So let's go ahead and get into it now. 5, 4, 3. Today's theme, the Puerto Rico Roundup. This was from November 7th to November 11th, 2025. And I think most of you know exactly what I'm talking about. But if you don't, for the third year in a row, many of us small to medium-sized content creators have gathered somewhere in the United States, along with any fans who want to come just to chill, just to hang out, just to meet up. So that's what we did. So in today's episode, I'm going to talk about how that went for me, because that was just this past weekend. So here's a picture of a fortress in Puerto Rico. More on that later. Here's mi hermano, Cesar Joel, who spearheaded the whole thing. In case I forget, thank you, Cesar. We really appreciate you being the ambassador and heading all of that up. So I didn't take any pictures of me flying down there, but I flew on American, Des Moines to Dallas, Dallas to San Juan. I didn't realize that Dallas to San Juan was a 4.5-hour flight. And then on the way back, it was 5 hours. That was a lot. And I was offered a chance to upgrade to first class on that longer leg for like $297 a couple days before. And I held out. I was like, I think it'll go lower. It didn't. So I ended up sitting in economy with all the plebeians. I didn't even have the opportunity to upgrade to like the extra legroom seats. So back there with Adam and Adam's kids, unfortunately. When I landed, it was Friday and it was kind of late in the day. So I really didn't do much other than go to the rental car place, I know it's all sunny outside the picture on the left because I took it a day or two later just for reference. I had actually rented 2 cars. I almost always get a backup rental. The primary is with Dollar Car Rental, and the backup was with Alamo. My flight was scheduled to land at like 9:36 p.m. And there was no delay with the flight, but there was a bit of a delay getting off the plane. Like I said, I was in the back with the plebeians, like 10th to last row. So it just took a while to get off. And then some of the rental car places were on site, and I found those right away, but I couldn't find where you were supposed to meet the shuttle for the off-site ones. Alamo was on site, Dollar was off-site. So Dollar being my primary, I finally there's someone who was trying to be helpful, but I think we had a bit of a language barrier. I don't speak enough Spanish for it to work, and he didn't speak enough English for it to work. And he said you have to go down a level. And I was like, is this one of those airports with 2 different street levels? It's not. So maybe he meant over, but he said down by accident. So I went back to the stairs trying to find a staircase. I'm like, there is no lower level. Then I went back out to find the shuttle. And by the time I got there, and the next guy I was able to communicate with no problem. And he said, if you're with Dollar, I'm not the Dollar shuttle driver. I would call them right now because it's like 9:57 p.m. and they close in 3 minutes. So I dialed them right away, and it just rang and rang and rang and rang. And by the time it was done ringing, it was past 10 o'clock. And I'm like, well, I'm screwed. Good thing I have a backup. So Alamo it is. The only sad part about that is I had the exact same kind of vehicle, a small SUV. And at Dollar, it was going to be like $125 for the whole weekend, less than that for 4 days. It's like, that's a pretty good rate. Alamo was twice as much. It was like $250. So I had to pay twice as much. But Alamo was really handy and convenient because it was right there. I mean, I just walk up to the desk. The garage was right next door. Walk out. They pulled my car up for me and everything. I don't know if you can see it, but if you look right here, there's like a wheel underneath this red car. How does that happen? Just thought that was kind of weird. So Dollar, boo. Why'd you close at 10 o'clock? Alamo, good. They're open at least until midnight. I'll catch up on some comments now. Sleepy Rod says, if the ink train is gone, is there any incentive to stay under 524? Well, for personal cards or for non-ink business cards, like if you wanted to get the Hyatt business card or something like that. Yuri says you can get the Chase Ink Preferred, then convert it to the CIC. Good suggestion. Cesar says, good times. Fleet Easily says, update on my January vacation. This is related to Vacasa and Wyndham. Switched it to Hawaii. 4 nights in Honolulu, 2 in Maui. Vacasa rentals for both. Round trip with AA through British Airlines Premium Economy. Whoa, celebrate. That's awesome, Fleet. You nailed it there. Glad you got to use those Vacasa stuff before they expired. Sam says he got 2 unskippable advertisements after he posted a comment. YouTube has actively targeted people at the advertisements to annoy the person enough to not pay to see the adverts. Sorry, man. Changed my flight by flying to Philadelphia via Miami for $2,000 more. Okay. And QC Man says, this is related to the question about, is the ink train worth it? It depends how you feel about the co-branded cards like IHG, Marriott, Aeroplan, etc. But if those mean nothing to you, then screw 524. Or if you're still working on your initial chase setup, like a reserve or preferred, if you're still working on Freedom Flex. Although some people have speculated 524 is just straight up going away and being replaced with the pop-up. I don't know. Check Raise You says, good morning to see you, diehards. Good to see you too. Thank you so much, Flaming Monkey. Ian says, should have gone to Hertz if international. Most of them and small airports don't have scanners yet. Just returned to GRB and the other day. They didn't even have humans, let alone AI. What's GRB? Not sure on that one. It's just a price thing. I wasn't like loyal to Alamo or anything. Filmo says, you kids and your rental cars. Eye roll. Hey, a little later you'll see why. Bill says, looking at that Hilton in San Juan for April, they want 560 or 75K points a night. We'll have both Aspire and Surpass credits. What did they want during the meetup? I did not stay at the Caribe where most people stayed. That's one that's a resort. I stayed inland a quarter mile or so at the Double Cache or Double Tree. JWWH is here. Hi, Dugroz. How you doing? Any thoughts on the possible Built 2.0 cards? Nope. Don't have any thoughts. We'll just say wait and see. The fact that the way they're transitioning is how they're transitioning, where you automatically get a Wells Fargo autograph and you get privileged application for the new car is just stinks. New Again says, I will never pay for YouTube or any Google service. I'll stop using it first. QC Man says, remember the Alamo, Doug. Car rental. Thanks for helping it get back up over 72, everyone. Keep on smashing the like button. If somebody wants to say there's this many people on board, but only this many have clicked the like button, that would be good. Let's continue talking about my trip to San Juan, Puerto Rico here. Here's a picture of the rental car I got, not at the rental car place, and I'll come back to why that's important later. But just a reminder for everyone, anytime you get a rental car, take lots of video, take a few pictures. Take a picture of your mileage at checkout and your fuel tank, because I've never had them fight on fuel, but I have had them fight with me on mileage before. Like, usually it doesn't matter, but if they say you went over, like, well, proving that I didn't. Plus, I also speculate if they ever tried to figure out when damage happened, they'd want to peg it to how many miles were on the car. It's important because I didn't notice this until after I returned it, but there was a big old dent in the back right quarter panel, right under the back right headlight, the size of about bigger than a softball or like a grapefruit. But fortunately, I had taken a video, and on the timestamp video, you can see that dent was there before I even started driving away. Also, if possible, like sometimes the rental car people, like in my case, it was late at night. So she said, just wait here. I'll pull the car around. Instead of waiting the aisle, I walked over to a parking spot so she could pull in, because I want to be like, I haven't driven the car 1 inch before I take these videos. That way they can't say, well, you damaged it when you were leaving the parking garage. Drove from the airport to the Doubletree by Hilton. Not a great picture, but there on the left it is at night, right when I pulled up. This is a view out the window the next morning. Bright, sunny, lots of green. Can't see the ocean from there, but still a pretty nice view. I was on the top floor. I did get upgraded to like a preferred room type, but it wasn't a suite. Preferred room type just meant high floor, top floor in my case. I was on the very, very top floor. Unfortunately, it was kind of close to the elevator, and the elevator was a little squeaky, but the good news is with a combination of earplugs and sound machine, I couldn't hear it. So I thought about asking to move, but after the first night, I was like, nah, it's fine. It's not a big deal. And then the very last day I was there, they fixed the squeaky elevator. I didn't take hardly any pictures of the inside of the room because it's just a plain room. There was nothing real special about it. Just a king-size bed, a desk, decent view, closet, bathroom, et cetera, et cetera. They also had barn-style door, unfortunately. So all I did that first night was go to bed. So then Saturday morning, I woke up, and that was the day of the creator meetup. But I knew before the meetup, there would be an opportunity to do stuff. I'd communicated with my friend Stan the credit frog, and asked him if he wanted to go to lunch. And he said, yep, we'll do that. And since I had a rental car, I agreed to pick him up. And there was room for 3 people in the back of the rental car. So Stan brought 3 friends with him, Spencer Johnson, Chase Yokoyama, and Gary, a fan, all came along, and we drove from like over here to this general area where the parking garage is, walked like a quarter mile to the restaurant. I didn't take a picture of what I ordered that first meal. Pictures on the really good stuff are coming later, though. And then the T-Mobile district is where we would go for the actual meetup a few hours later. And then the meetup begins. But before I get into that, I will catch up on comments here. Studio TK says 524 works for me since it takes 3 or 4 months to cover a standard assignment bonus anyway. I'm relatively low spend. Very understandable. Sleepy Rod says, I've had to fight Avis on fuel. Was lucky I took a picture. Yep, always take a picture. Sam says, what if current leadership of the U.S. decides to revamp the credit card system and prevent good benefits? What then? No names mentioned, Dugroz reports. I actually read an article on that. There is a settlement going on right now that's not finalized but proposed with Visa and MasterCard. All I can say is we'll have to see. I don't think sign-up bonuses will be changed, and that's where most of our rewards come from, but always have to be ready to roll. QC Man asks, how was the cookie at the Doubletree? I actually had like 4. Well, I got like 4 or 5. I think I only ate 3 of them. They were pretty good. Not great, pretty good. I'd give it a 7 out of 10. The DoubleTree did have cookies. And Q Salmon says, Gary from Parks and Rec. Nope, not that Gary. But I do like where you're going with that. Gary has very beautiful daughters, of course. But no, different Gary. QC Man gifts 1 Dugroz Reports membership. Celebrate. Thank you so much, QC Man. I really appreciate that. All right, back to the theme of the day then. The meetup itself. So at 6 o'clock p.m., we all met at the T-Mobile district, and I got to see a lot of my friends. I talk about it kind of like a kid that goes to summer camp every year and sees his camp friends once a year. Cesar Joel was there. Of course, he spearheaded it. Anthony Venture. I don't know why, but I find this funny. I'm like in the exact same pose in both pictures. It's like I photoshopped Cesar out and put in Tony or something. We have Richie, the CEO. We have Xavier, also known as X, Xavier ID, big time fan. Let me know if you're on board, Xavier. Mike from What's the Points. Joe Barretto was there. Spencer Johnson, Rich from Rich with Points, and myself in this picture here. Couple of my diehardiest diehards, Chad Pennycuff and Philmo. And there's Rewards Master and Yuri G. Interestingly, while it was going on, the Iowa State Cyclones, my favorite college football team, were playing. And we had lost 4 games in a row. It's like we started by winning 5, then losing 4. It's like, oh man, just truckloads of injuries. Like we're on a slide. There's no way we're going to win. Playing Texas Christian, TCU, and we were underdogs by like a touchdown. And while the thing was going on, I got an alert on my phone with like a minute left. We were winning 20-17. Sure enough, we held on. So I was like, all right, not only did you have the meetup, the Cyclones won. A little bummed I didn't get to watch them, but I'd rather go to the meetup. Rex is here. Rex Blind says, good morning, Mr. Rose. Drops a $1.99 super chat. Celebrate. Thank you so much, Rex. I appreciate it. Sam K has been a member for 9 months. Will credit cards become SIM card sized? I don't think so, but since you can do mobile wallet, it almost is kind of a moot point. Philmo says, hey, that's me. You look a little younger than you do in your profile picture there. Continuing onwards here. Same 2 guys, just a funny conversation. There's Stan the Credit Frog. Stan the aforementioned Credit Frog. The restaurant that we go to later is called Salon or something like that. And that's right here. So as the meetup was kind of winding down, by the way, the official meetup part of the meetup was basically you just stand around and chit chat. There is no formality. And that lasted a couple hours. But but many of us went over to that Salon or Sazan restaurant. I see this is Mrs. Ritchie, the CEO fan, Joe Barretto. His name is Johnny, Xavier, Anthony, Jay, Rich's wife. I think her name is Beth, is doing a hair flip right when I took the picture. The other table, we've got some fans. This is the person I was thinking of earlier. I couldn't remember the name. I'm so sorry. Dude with the afro. CJ? Can't remember your name. So sorry. Mike, Filmo. There's Juan from MIA right there. And that's kind of a funny story. I don't know if you're still on board, Juan. Wave if you are. So I sat down right next to Juan. And the waitress brings out menus. And I didn't look at mine right away. And Juan says something like, hey, let me know if you need any help with ordering because I can translate for you. Looked over his shoulder or over his arm at his menu. It was all in Spanish. I'm like, oh, man, if you could help me, that'd be great. I'm like, here's some types of things that I like. You know me, I'm a Midwest guy, not too spicy. So he's describing some things and what the different items on the menu are. And after we go through that for 3 or 4 minutes, I look at my menu and it's all in English. So neither of us realized that they had 2 different menus. So that was kind of a funny moment. Apparently the waitress pegged me and just like, there's no way this guy speaks Spanish. Give him the English menu. Ben Bradshaw says, thank you, QC Man 2000. I'm honored to be a Dugroz member now. Celebrate. Thank you. Awesome. I like your profile picture too. QC Man slaps thumbs up and Cesar says, that's you, Filmo. Sleepy Rod, if I was a bank, I would be terrified seeing all these credit cards experts in the same room. And that's the thing, though. Like, we're not famous enough. So what happens is we walk into a place like this and no one recognizes us except for each other. So we're all starstruck with each other. And everybody else is like, oh, it's probably just some guys who work for an insurance company or something. Cesar reminds everyone to slap the thumbs up button. Juan is verifying my story about the funny menu thing. QC man enjoyed it. Filmo says, Juan was vital to my PR experience. I should have paid more attention to Spanish class. See, I should have. Sam says, American credit cards need built-in pew-pews, especially in Texas and other areas that love such devices. I'll just leave that comment hanging out there. So then I went to bed. Some people stayed up late and probably did some bar hopping, but it was like 10:45 and not this guy. We went to El Morro, which is a fortress there, kind of on the island part of San Juan that sticks out. It was built in like they started building it in the 1500s by the Spanish, because Puerto Rico was originally part of the Spanish Empire. And Yuri and I shared ride share to get there, and we were like either the first or one of the first to get there, so I asked him to take a couple pictures for me. Thanks for doing that, much appreciated. And then Cesar Joel starts walking up, and I send a text message to the Discord. I'm like, well, Yuri and I are standing on the ramparts if you want to look up and wave at us. And later grab that picture from Cesar. Thanks for taking it. It's kind of funny. This is a pretty fun picture because you're like looking out this circular thing, and you might be thinking, well, where was that picture taken? They had like an observation gallery. Nope, that was in the men's bathroom. So it's kind of funny. It was like there was 3 or 4 of these, and like you go into the men's bathroom and go through it, and it's positioned so you can't see from the gallery to the toilets. So it's like the men's only balcony, but they had one for women too, not to feel left out. They have these little, you could see it in the last image. You look down here, it's like this little turret that kind of juts out into the ocean. And photography credit to Chad Pennycuff. Chad ended up being my photographer several times on this trip when I needed some B-roll and stock footage. Like back in the 1600s, an actual like Spanish soldier would just sit in this thing all day and look out for, any enemy ships coming. So in the left picture, I'm on sentry duty. Oh, the right picture, all the clouds and stuff. Chad figured out some awesome setting on the phone. It's Instagram mode, basically. Sleepy Rod wants to know what I ended up ordering. That first one at Sazan, do you remember what it was called, Juan? It was like a chicken fritter with some sort of white sauce on it and beans and rice. I don't know what it's called, but it was very good. Cesar agrees that was quite the view, seeing us up on the ramparts. QC Man says Dugroz would only have drank whole milk on the bar hopping anyway. Yeah. And I did have a virgin pina colada for the first time on this trip. Filmo says, Doug got pork chops, corn, and a glass of leche. Hang in there. You're about to find out what I got. Not so much that meal. I got the chicken fritter type thing. But the next meal you're going to see, maybe not the next one, but one of them. Since Chad was my photographer, I wanted to get him in on a picture. So that's me and him inside that little sentry thing. It's just barely big enough for 2 adult men. And then I like the view of the 3 flags because this is the flag of the Spanish Empire before 1898. So you may know Spain and America went to war in the late 1800s. And of course we won. And that's how we ended up with Puerto Rico as well as some other islands. And then you got America and Puerto Rico. So that was just cool. I thought the 3 flags were a neat expression of how it's been a part of 3 different jurisdictions. There's that sentry tower from a different angle and a sailboat going by. It actually rained the morning. So this was the Cesar Joel walking tour. He arranged for us to walk around El Morro, although that was a kind of free form. And then we walked somewhere else. But it actually rained that morning, but it was like a 20-minute rain, and then it was just done. And my understanding is in island nations that tends to happen a lot, or just tropical places. You get these intense rainstorms for a very short period of time, and then it's perfectly beautiful. So these pictures were taken like as the rain was leaving. There was still some not dark clouds, but like the filtered type clouds. I'm not sure what the correct terminology is. All right, now we're getting ready to leave and go do a little more walking. Got our whole gang here. We went through some areas with some of the older, more colorful buildings and trees and stuff. This is kind of a funny story. So when I was in the fortress, Chad and I were talking, and I think somebody else was with us, maybe Gary, I don't remember. And I said, you know what's weird is they had this fortress the whole time, and there was never like a major attack or a major siege because the fortress was so good up until Spain and the United States went to war in 1898. Like, it had never been attacked. It's not like, the Dutch attacked the fortress or anything. I actually said that. And then as we're walking away, there's this big sign just to the right of the pass that says the Dutch attack of 1625. And I'm like, well, just ignore everything I said. Apparently the Dutch did attack the fortress at some point in history. I'm a loser. Here's a little video. I don't know if the audio will come through or not, but just our parade through the streets of San Juan. Let me know if you can spot me in this video. All right, that's it. Did you see me? Were there any clues? Juan says, I believe it was breaded chicken with a white garlic sauce and traditional Puerto Rican red beans, habluchetas. That's what I ate the first night there at Cezanne. And Sam thinks my hair is starting to look like Steven Seagal's hair. Interesting. I guess it could be worse. Oops, don't need to play the video twice. All right, now into the food point. So where we walked to was sort of a downtowny area with like street vendors selling tchotchkes and stuff, and multiple restaurants. At some point, I was just kind of standing in the middle of a group of people, and I didn't really say it to anyone in particular, just sort of into the air. I was like, is anybody else in the mood for like air conditioning and a chair and a waitress or waiter? And Luke from Luke's Points of Miles looked at me from 10 feet away and says, that's where we're going. So I just kind of stood there for 2 or 3 minutes until a bunch of people, including Luke and his wife, started walking, and Luke's wife knew where she was going. So I just kept walking and kept walking and kept walking and turned the corner and walked into a restaurant. I was like, hey, this is the exact same restaurant that me and Stan and the 3 other guys ate at yesterday. Barranchila on Fortaleza Street in San Juan, Puerto Rico. And you asked about what I ate, and it was this item right here on the left. It's kind of hard to make out. This is actually called a can pork chop. So on the outer edge, there is like fat, and they slice it so it doesn't like buckle, and deep fat fry it. And then in the middle is the normal meat, the good meat. And you can kind of look here, there's a piece that has like the fat and the lean around it. I don't know how they did it, but the combination of the two was just, I ate about half of it. To be honest, I should not have eaten half. It was massive. It was like this big. It's kind of curved around those beans in the middle. Of course, I asked for ranch, which is down here, but there was also some sort of red sauce you could dip it in. I have no idea what it was, but it was delicious. And then I asked for steak sauce. She was like, the closest we have is no sauce. I'm like, oh, let's give it a shot. And that was delicious too. So I didn't even know what I was dipping it in, but it was amazing. Just perfect. You got the fried plantains here. So I had said up until this that the best pork chop I've ever had in my life, even though I'm from Iowa, was in Washington, D.C. at the old Annabot Grill. But this one gave it a run for its money, too. In fact, I would say in the moment, it was actually better. With the benefit of hindsight reflecting, I'm not sure which one was better. I could say this is not a traditional pork chop because they infuse it with like gravy and stuff, and they deep fat fry it. So I'll say my favorite traditional pork chop was still the one in Washington, D.C. My favorite fried pork chop is this one. And you can see this restaurant did accept American Express, even though I used my Aeroplan card. The other thing that was kind of interesting and made me roll my eyes just a little is Luke, or I don't know, maybe Chad or me or someone, I don't even remember who it was, said, I'll take a water to drink, and something like, I think we'd all like a water. Well, instead of just bringing us a cup of water, she brought each of us a bottle of water and charged us all $3. Rewards Master is who I was with. He was sitting to my right. To the right of him was CJ and Carlos, Mrs. Luke, Mandy, Luke, and Chad Pennycuff to my left. Yeah, that was a killer meal. Where were we? We were right here. So whoever said this, pork chops, corn, a glass of leche, you weren't far off. Leche means milk. I actually never had milk on my trip. QCMN said, heard the sound on the audio. That's good. Juan says, the restaurant name was Sazon, which means seasoning. Oh, hey, thank you. The classic Dugroz blue-white shirt. Oh, the one I'm wearing right now. These are actually gray stripes. Although maybe you're looking at a different one. Yeah. I do own, like, not this meetup. I think it was last year in Puerto Rico. Uncle Luke said something like, Doug, do you only own 3 shirts? Because I wear the same style all the time. It's like, no, I don't own just 3. I do have like 3 or 4 of my favorite ones, and tend to wear them a lot, especially when traveling. I've just decided I'm to the point where this is my look. Fried pork chop is called chuleta can. Great dish. I agree. Cesar has also identified it. Yuri says, why did you use the Aeroplan card at restaurant? Hold your thought on that, Yuri. I'm actually going to address that a little bit later. Amex is pretty well accepted in Latin America, says Sleepy Rod, except the parking garage and Martin Van Buren's barbecue. Those places it was not. Let's keep pushing ahead. So, oh, hey, here's your answer, Yuri. So I showed a picture of my Aeroplan card. On this trip, I actually ended up limiting all my purchases to just these 2 cards, the Capital One Venture X and the Aeroplan card. To answer your question, Yuri, I really like simplicity, especially when traveling. And as most of you know, I do zero-based budgeting for my trips where I make sure my travel pays for itself through a combination of cash back, bank account sign-up bonuses, and points and miles. So I'm going to be using my Aeroplan card anyway at the hotel to pay myself back. Aeroplan earns 3 points per dollar. And yes, it's not a transferable currency, so it's not as valuable, but it's close enough that I just roll with it. I also thought about breaking out my City Strata card, which is 3x on gas, and using that when I filled up on gas. But I only spent $25 on gas on the whole trip. So I'm like, just put it on the Capital One Venture X. It's 1 extra point. Who cares? That's like, so at 25 points, I gave up, or excuse me, at $25, I gave up 1 point, so I lost out on 25 cents. If you think penny points, if you think 3 cents per point, I lost out on 75 cents. Oh, well, I don't think 75 cents is going to make it or break it. So there's your answer. I used it just for the sake of simplicity. And actually, it kind of ended up being a good combo because Aeroplan, I use at the hotel for all my incidentals, parking, restaurant charges, and then pay myself back. I can also use it on dining. There was a grocery store right across the street where I got a few supplies. And those are both 3x. And then the Venture X just picks up everything else. Hilton card's up in the corner because technically I did spend on it too, but the only thing I spent it on was the $50 portfolio deposit at the DoubleTree to get my $50 quarterly credit. So yeah, I might actually use this duo moving forward when traveling. Worked out pretty well. Of course, someday I hope to get the Capital One Saver, and then I could just swap that in. Sam says you skipped my comment. Sorry about that. Is American Express actually an express method? I'm sorry, I don't know what that means. I apologize. Cesar says, I have 7 black PGA Tour Henley crew neck shirts. I've seen them. I buy several same shirt every year to replace the old ones. Yeah, if you've got a look that works, just roll with it. MR says the name American Express, this is to answer Sam, originates from the company's founding in 1850 as a freight forwarding business that aimed to provide express delivery service across the United States. So yeah, if you think about like the old Wild West, when you go from like Independence, Missouri out to Sacramento, California, and you've got like a stagecoach with 2 horses out front, and on top there's a driver and a dude with a shotgun so that he can ward away any bandits who are going to rob the stagecoach. That stagecoach, or at least one of them, was actually called American Express. And at some point they were like, let's do credit cards. That would be fun. They may have been the first ever credit card company. I don't really remember. All right, so that takes us to Sunday night. And again, some people partied. I did not. Somewhere around 10:30, I went to bed. The next morning was Monday morning, and people were starting to leave. Some people had already started heading out by that point. I know Filmo was ready to head out by that point. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, so I decided I skipped ahead. I'm not to Monday. I'm still Sunday afternoon. Sunday afternoon. Do I go back to the hotel or do I do something else? I have a rental car. Let's put it to good use. I decided, I was with Chad Pennycuff at the fort when I made this decision to drive out to a lighthouse at the far eastern edge of the island. I kind of cut it off. It's called Cabezas something. So got in the car, started driving. Right before we left, got a text message from Stan. And he's like, "Hey, what are you guys doing? You want to hang out?" I'm like, "Yeah, you want to join us?" Yep. Drove a few blocks, picked up Stan. The three of us went out to the lighthouse. I did not plan very well in one sense, though, because that lighthouse is part of like a whole nature area at the tip of a peninsula, and they closed the access road that lets you into the nature park and accordingly the lighthouse at 3 p.m. local time. And by the time we got there, it was about 4:15 or so. So it was like, oh well. Well, there's a very beautiful beach nearby. Let's just go to the beach instead. There it is right there. I don't remember the name of the beach. I apologize. But yeah, 4:15, 4:30 in the afternoon. This is facing north. Of course, the sun is to the south. You can tell by the shadows. So that makes the pictures really cool because then you don't have to worry about getting too much sunshine. And there were a few people there, but not a whole lot. Most of them were further down to the east. And then I was like, "Hey guys, I've got a tripod in my car. Not a tripod, but like a monopod that can be used as a selfie stick, or you can expand the end with 3 legs that stands up. And I've got a Bluetooth clicker, and we can take a group picture. So let's do that." So we decided to take a group picture. While setting up, I hit the button and got this kind of funny picture, which I thought was rather amusing. But there's the actual picture of Stan, myself, and Chad. And I thought that came out really good. This is like a Puerto Rico Tourism Bureau, a place for bros type picture. Some people were off doing other things, but we were the 3 that wanted to take the car and drive to see this beach on the eastern end of the island. QC Man says, "Did you have any Hilton gift cards used on this trip, or did you use them all up?" I actually managed to use them all up when I went to Europe last summer. Thank you. Thanks for the explanation. Bill Wright says, "Out of the country, it ordered another Coke as I had finished and was charged for a second, so now I expect that." Oh, you're going back to like the whole thing where Luke said, "Bring a round of water for everyone," and we got charged the $3 bottled water. Yeah. You probably need to clarify something like glasses of water, because there was another table that got glasses of water, but it did feel, I'm not sure if it was intentional or not. Who knows? Cesar says, "QC, many use their gift cards without issues at the Caribe Hilton." I think Luke said he used 4 of them and then 2 different Hilton cards. Filmo says, "I should have ordered a few more drinks. I still have 2 gift cards left." Well, good luck. Cesar liked the picture, I think. The previous picture of me and Stan not quite ready for prime time. Sleepy Rod says, "I wonder how many of all the people to meet up were working on a sub." I don't know. I did say something like when we were at Cezanne, because they wouldn't let us pay individually. They only let us pay by table, and then we just gave whoever was paying either cash or Venmo or whatever. One ended up paying. And I said, "Well, whoever's doing this, hopefully you're working on a sign-up bonus. We should take a vote." He's like, "I am working on a sign-up bonus." Like, great. We all got to stick together. Sam says, "Hopefully you can come to the U.S. in the future." Can't do it right now. Jesus Christ is here and feeds the algorithm. Thank you so much. 75. Let's see if we can get over 80 people. I'm waiting for Luke to get on board when he gets home from the gym. Maybe if Carlos, if you're watching, you can just say hi on your dad's account or something. QC Man says, "2 of the founders of Amex had the last name Wells and Fargo. They wanted to found their own company. I think it was Famous or something." That explains the whole Wells Fargo wagon thing. In the story Music Man, which is set in Iowa, not a real town, but it's loosely based on Mason City, Iowa. There's a song, "Oh ho, the Wells Fargo wagon is a coming down the street. Oh, please let it be for me." And then later on, they say something like, "It could be something, something, something from New York. And I got me a gray Mackinac. I got myself some furniture from Tampa. Montgomery Ward sent me a hammer and a crosscut saw." Sorry. MR says, "Wells Fargo, I've never heard of them." American water sounds like water, i.e. bottle of water, just by sound. Should I be saying bowl of water instead, like the Scottish version? All right, so moving along here. Then we looked right across the street from the beach, and Stan was like, hey, there's a restaurant right there. You want to go eat? At this point, it was like 4:30, 4:45, and I was like, you know what? I'm not really hungry, but the fellowship sounds good. So we went across the street to Costa Mia restaurant, and I took a picture of what Chad ordered, and he asked if I wanted to split an appetizer, and we did. And this was like an appetizer sampler because after eating that massive pork chop or half of it, I wasn't very hungry, and he wasn't either. It was really good, though. These banana chips, this was fried cheese. On the four corners, you've got your chicken wings. The dark fried tubes, cylinders are traditional mozzarella sticks. The lighter colored ones are, I don't know what they were, but they were really good. Probably like a mushed up rice or plantain or something that's deep fat fried. Marinara sauce, I have no idea what these two sauces are, but they were good. This actually kind of surprised me. And I guess shame on me for lumping all Latin American countries together. I was expecting Puerto Rican food to be really spicy. Like, you get down into Mexico and get real authentic Mexican food. But for the most part, it wasn't. It was more savory than spicy. Although I'm sure there were some spicy things on the menu, but I never ran into any. Everything was good. I mean, who would have thought my favorite cuisine in the last several years was Puerto Rican food? I guess Puerto Ricans probably would have. Puerto Ricans, Iowans, we are buds. Here's a view from that restaurant. They had an open air part, so we sat outside. I had an orange Fanta. Chad had some sort of fruity drink, and Stan, I'm not sure what he had, maybe a craft beer of some kind. But there was only like two tables that were right on the end, two big ones that looked out into the ocean. In fact, it was so desirable. A family came in and saw we were about to leave and just said, we'll just wait for them to leave because they wanted our table. And I can't blame them. It looked really nice. Sorry to random guy got in the background. And then here's one of the money shots. So by the time we were done eating, it had gone from light to dark. And there was like a 3-minute window where there was just a little bit of horizon showing under this cloud. And you could get one of those Puerto Rican tourism board type shots. Mwah! Loverly. Oh boy, a lot of comments there. Okay, Wells Fargo. Sam says that. Phil said, I just got my first Wells and Fargo card. Oh, which one was it, Philmo? Are you one of the built people that automatically gets one whether you like it or not? That's what we're asking about. The Signify Biz. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Background Balloon says, oh my goodness, I made it to a Dugroz Live. W, glad you're here. Awesome. Dem or DEM, thanks QC man for the membership. Great. Costa Mia, it will costa me a lot. I see what you did there. QC man, thumbs up. Yo, I got a membership. Thank you to the person who gifted it to me. Awesome. And Ziza says, I found Puerto Rican food to be kind of bland compared to Mexican food. Perfect for a Midwestern dude like myself. QC man says, I'm sure they're used to catering to the palates of folks on the mainland. Oh, that's probably. Did you like the fried plantain chips? I fell in love with them in PR. I was okay with them. I don't think I fell in love with them, but I was okay with them. So that's what it was. Fried plantains, not fried bananas. It was good for snacking on. New Again says, as far as spicy food, Mexico is basically the exception in Latin America. So are you saying that Mexican food is spicy, the rest of Latin America is not? Am I picking up what you're laying down there? LN drops a $1.49 super sticker. Celebrate. Great. So you know what that means. Anybody who donates that exact amount gets 1,000 Dugroz points. Let me get it out of my satchel here. There you go. 1,000 Dugroz points. Thanks so much, LN. All right. May the slides continue. All right. It was kind of a red light district when we walked from the beach back to where I parked the car. See what I did there? The next morning, I woke up Monday morning, and let's review. So I ate the can pork chop for lunch. I ate the split half of the appetizers with Chad Pennycuff for like a 4:45 early supper. And then when I got back to the hotel, because all I'd had was appetizers, I was like hungry enough to order a little something. I was going to just get like cake and ice cream, but the waitress was like, oh, you really got to try our pina coladas. They're really good. And I'm like, oh, okay. She's like, I think I said, what soft drinks do you have? She was like, I can make it virgin if you want. I'm like, all right, yep, do that. Virgin pina colada. So I got it, and it was pretty good. It wasn't amazing, but it was pretty good. And I'm like, oh, this does not go with ice cream at all. It's kind of got that fruity, tangy, almost like a fruity and tangy flavor. I'm like, this needs to go with some sort of meat. So I decided to order off the menu. Meat, Kowalski. So I ordered a Cuban sandwich, and it was gigantic. Half was like this big. So put it together, it was like this big. And I was like, I'm only going to eat half. And I ate the whole thing. What's wrong with me? I got to learn, my stomach does have limits. So, and my digestive consequences are usually delayed. So if I eat something late at night that I shouldn't eat, it's not till like 4 or 5 in the morning I start to have issues. Sure enough, around 4 a.m. I woke up and I'm like, oh, my stomach. I took a bunch of Tums and went back to bed. But when I woke up, I was just not in the mood for breakfast. I wasn't even in the mood for doing anything. I was planning to go tour the Capitol building, Capitol with an OL, the territorial capital of Puerto Rico. But I was like, I can't get out very early. I had contacted Chad Pennycuff and asked him, like, could we, still do this, but a little later? Is noon okay? He's like, yeah, that's fine. So I just hung out at the hotel in the morning. But hey, they had laundry machines. So I did laundry while I was there. In fact, this exact shirt, I spilled something on it when I ate at Cezanne with Juan and company. And the front desk even gave me laundry detergent. I didn't have to pay for it. So I got some water detergent on there, washed it all up. It was coin operated, which was kind of weird instead of credit card operated, but old school. The nice thing was it was supposed to be $2 per load, $2 to wash, $2 to dry, but somebody had left money in the drawer. You can see 25 cents. So I didn't have to start up a whole new load. I only had to do a partial. So I had 50 cents left over. Only cost me $4.50 instead of $5. I really like places that have do-it-yourself laundry. Dry cleaning is so expensive. So I did an entire load of laundry for $4.50. Not bad. While doing that, I just chillaxed in the room. May have watched TV or I don't remember all the way. I think I went back to bed at one point. And then I went down to the front desk and said, hey, do you have a complimentary shaving kit? And you know what they said? Yes, we do, Mr. Roz. Here you go. And they gave it to me for free. Oh, that's interesting. Isn't it Hyatt Place in East Moline, Illinois, that a hotel gave me a free shaving kit instead of making me pay $6? So I got myself all cleaned up, made myself look very handsome and whatnot. And then the picture on the right is the stairs to go from the main level. You have to go down one level at the DoubleTree. Have you ever noticed, like, no matter how nice the hotel is or the convention center, every staircase in a parking garage looks like somebody either was or will soon be murdered there? The stairs in every parking garage look that way, without exception. Mark it down. Clarifying comments or catching up on comments. New Again says that's correct. Most Latin American food is not spicy, certainly not like Mexico. That's good to know. Now I can start taking vacations in the Caribbean. Do you say Caribbean or Caribbean? Juan says, I did finish my AA Platinum sub at the PR meetup, so thank you, everyone. You are totally welcome. That's what we're here for. Sam reminds everyone to smash the like button. I appreciate that. I don't think we ever got up into the 80s. Background Blues says that red light photo makes it look like the light pole is going to turn into an apocalyptic cyborg. That's what I thought was weird. Like all the street lights for like 2 blocks were all red. Does anybody know why? Sleepy Rod says so far only Peru, Mexico, and Chile are the only Latin American countries that eat spicy that I know of. So all the Caribbean islands, I'm probably okay. Filmo says, I need the Dugroz points. I got a redemption coming up. And there you go. Filmo drops a $1.49 super sticker rather. Celebrate. All right. Let's see. I'm going to give you Dugroz points in check form. There you go. 1,000 Dugroz points. Thanks, Filmo. Don't wash cash because that's money laundering, says Sam. Did they give you old school laundry detergent or Tide Pods? Liquid, moderately old school. It was like in a packet about like that, like half of a sandwich baggie filled with liquid. Ziza says, I might have missed it, but did you go to the Barachina, the restaurant where they supposedly created the pina colada? Yes, that was the restaurant with the can pork chop and charging $3. Did my eyes just go crossed there? That was the restaurant with the $3 bottled water and the can pork chop and the all that kind of stuff. I did not get a pina colada, but other people did. What's weird is like two different people said something like, for being the place where the pina colada was invented, it was kind of mid. It was okay, but not great. And it was like $12.99. If you like pina coladas, I just don't like paying for them. So Bornador says, hi, I just came back from Chile and we could not find spicy food. Interesting. Very apt that Chile has spicy food. Pina colada was first created at the Caribe Hilton. For real? So is Barranquilla just like taking that glory? What do they call it when people pretend to be a veteran and they're not? Stolen valor? Is this the alcoholic beverage equivalent of stolen valor? I think I also read that like 3 different places claim they're the originator of the pina colada. All right, here's the official word. The pina colada was invented in Puerto Rico in 1954, most famously credited to a bartender named Ramon Manchito Moreno at the Caribe Hilton Hotel. Well, there you go. Sam K says that streetlight changes colors are due to cheap streetlight fixtures. UK streetlights don't change such groovy colors. They were all red. One from MIA says, tip, make sure you stir the pina colada before drinking or you receive the strong welcome. Cesar is laughing at my singing ability. Glad I can cheer you guys up. All right. Then I got myself all handsomized and went down to the lobby. I always take a picture, not always. I try to take a picture on the left of myself in like the mirror near the elevator anytime I travel. So there's that shot. And I got my crossbody bag on. So it's time for a promo. I don't normally have sponsorship. Well, guess what? I'd like to take a moment to talk about our sponsor, Crossbody Bags. That's right. You want to look super stylish like this 45-year-old dude, or 46, however old I am now, wear a crossbody bag. I've got one right here. Rocking it. If you just want to tell the whole world, hey, I know exactly where my credit cards are, put on a crossbody bag. Just like Dugroz reports. I've even got the exact shirt on. Doesn't that look cool? If you go down to the link in the description box, you'll find a link to Amazon. I am an Amazon affiliate. Okay, it's not really a sponsorship, but it is an Amazon affiliate thing. So if you click on the link and buy the bag, I do get like 50 cents or something like that. In fact, I think the way it works is if you go to Amazon and buy anything, as long as you don't close your browser, it's sort of like a cookie type thing. I get my 1% commission. So there you go. Crossbody bags. They're the next awesome thing. Xavier uses one. I decided to go to the capital of Puerto Rico. And again, Chad Pennycuff was my photographer. Thank you so much. There it is. Got a cool picture of some sunlight there. My thought process is, I want to visit every state capital. Well, how often do I go to Puerto Rico? Might as well pick up a territorial capital too. And that can work 2 different ways. One is I could pick up all the territorial capitals like Puerto Rico, Guam, Northern Mariana Islands. Whether or not there's any others, I'm not sure. But secondly, there is a movement to make Puerto Rico a state. If Puerto Rico ever does become a state, I've already got it checked off my list. So Chad and I went up the steps, which are actually on the other side. The funny thing I always joke about is you can't really see it here. There's big steps in the front. Any building that was built like before 1940 always has this really grand staircase where it looks like you go in and you're never allowed to use it. It's always like on the side or under a staircase. You have to go through a metal detector or something like that. This is the north-facing side. The other picture was south. And it looks like they're setting up a Christmas tree. I just wanted to point out that you can look right out into the ocean. In fact, the tour guide said this is the only Capitol building in the United States that looks directly out over the ocean, which, as far as I know, is also the most beautiful view. So here's inside the Puerto Rico territorial capital. On the right here, first of all, I thought this lady was dressed very elegantly and appropriately. The Constitution of the territory, which was written, I believe, in the 1950s. And these are the originals. Up at the top of the dome, you've got like Greek goddesses and stuff. This is a mural symbolizing the end of slavery in the Spanish Empire in 1870-ish. Don't quote me on the exact time frame. Before Puerto Rico became part of the United States. The tour guide said that all these murals are actually little tiny pieces of glass that was cut out by a team, but then one guy assembled it over the course of like 4 years. there's me. On the right, there's a picture of, I think that's Cortez. Don't quote me on that. And it's got like the African enslaved people. It's got the indigenous people, the Europeans. And he said, everyone in Puerto Rico is a mix of the three. And I asked him, everyone? And he said, yep, everyone. Okay. So I'll take his judgment for it. I don't have any way of knowing. I do like the marble columns and everything there. And then the tour ended very abruptly. So he said, like, after he explained like the history of Puerto Rico, when it became a territory and the War of 1898 against the Spanish and all that, or Spanish against Americans and all that. He's like, do you guys have any questions? I said, yeah, if I take pictures and you're in it, is that okay? And he's like, yeah, that's totally fine. And I was assuming it's like, let's go to the room over here with the old court. Let's go to the room over here where the records are kept. Let's go to the room over here where you can sit on the balcony of the Senate. Nope. It was like, all right, we're done. So my theory is there's two different tours. If you arrange a tour like through your representative or your senator, you get like a better tour. If you're just a regular walk-in from the mainland, like Chad and I, you get like the super lame brief tour. Because I saw another tour group coming out of like a side room. And I'm like, we didn't get to do the side room. That was the tour guide right there. I think his name was Alex, but don't quote me on that. Catch up on some comments here. Sleepy Rod said, all the content creators are a lot taller than I imagined. Absolutely. What's wrong with fanny packs, Dugroz reports? I just like to wear my fanny pack across my chest, not my fanny. Did you hear about the new wind-free member level upgrade? I think I did. Is that like their super extra ultra status? Plus, like if you're all... No, this is like you automatically get one level upgrade between now and the end of the year. If you're already diamond, you get 5 times the normal amount of points, which means you get 50x. We talked about that earlier in the show. QCMS says, next stop for you, American Samoa's capital. Don't hold your breath, but maybe. Outside of the Capitol building, there's some neat architecture and cool lion statues and stuff. That's what the picture on the right is. Picture on the left, I just thought this was a cool building, but then this lady came by on an electric scooter. It's like a 30-year-old mom with her kid, and I don't know, just something about the way she was riding it. She was totally like a boss, totally like a boss, just slaying that scooter. So I was like, I'm gonna keep this picture, the one that she's in. She deserves to be in that picture. It was getting close for the time when Chad needed to go to the airport, so we decided to go grab some food before he went to the airport. And that's when we found Martin's Barbecue, which we thought was, we were just driving down the street. So we're like, well, let's just go where the spirit takes us. So we just drove until we were going to see something. We went into a part of town that was, I wouldn't say the bad part of town, but maybe a little bit lower income, kind of over by the DoubleTree and even further to the east, where the regular people live, not the tourists. I'll put it that way. And we looked at our phone to see what was nearby and ran across this place, Martin's Barbecue, and decided to go there. I thought it was like a one-off thing, but then later I saw another one. So I think it is like a excuse me. I think it was actually like a small chain restaurant. This was Mr. Roz's favorite meal of the whole trip because it was just down home, good old-fashioned food. Ordered a quarter chicken plus some rice. There was a couple different sauces. I have no idea what they were, but it was very good. You could just, it kind of reminded me of like the Puerto Rican equivalent of KFC. They probably have KFC there, so that's not fair. But it was better than that. It was very good. It was really good, actually. I loved it. My second favorite food there. And while I was there, I used the man's room. All right, so what did I do after that? Well, Chad had to go to the airport, so I dropped him off at the airport, and I'm like, I got invited to go to dinner with some of the creators at like 6 o'clock, and at this point it was like, I don't know, 2 in the afternoon, something like that. And I'm like, what am I gonna do for the next 4 hours? I don't know. So I was like, I want to drive somewhere. I have a rental car. I need to drive somewhere. And some people were going to like I don't remember, go out in the natural spring water in the rainforest type thing. I'm like, I'm just going to drive to not the highest point on Puerto Rico, but a pretty high point. So I get out Google Maps and I'm looking around and I see this place on the map called Finca Elian, which means the Elian Estate. and it says it's a restaurant. So I decide, like, yep, it's way up in the mountains. It's a restaurant. Let's go eat at a restaurant in the mountains. Even if I just get an appetizer or a dessert or something, that sounds good. I later found out it was closed, and it may not even be labeled correctly, because I think maybe it was like a business that was once popular, but's now maybe only used for like parties. Like you have to specifically reserve it in advance, because by the time I got there, it was like up this super steep driveway. It was very obviously closed. There was no one there whatsoever. And there was only one Google review, and it was just pictures. Like it didn't describe anything. So yeah, didn't actually get to eat at Finca Elian, but got to go there, and it was totally worth doing. This is Google Maps you're looking at, not my actual photography. I'll catch up on comments briefly here. Just one. Sam says, never say fanny pack in the UK. You might get chuckled at. Okay, I'll be sure to avoid that. So now here's the best part in terms of photogenically of the whole trip. So this is the route that I took. So you can see the San Juan airport is here. My hotel was right about here. Drove down to the mountains, and I made these bullet points using the GPS that's built into my dash cam. It shows the GPS coordinates on there. So I logged a bunch of them. Started at the green, went this way all the way around, ended at the red. And well, I mean, I had to drive from here to here first, but that was all freeway. Yeah, this is only, if you go in a straight line between each point, it's only about 15 miles. With all the curves and everything, it's probably closer to 30 miles. Even though it was only 30 miles, it took a lot longer than that. I wrote down how long it took. It took over an hour and a half, just because it's so hilly, and you can't go 60 miles an hour here. You'll see some pictures in just a few moments. I will be making a Driving with Dugroz video over on my other channel, Driving with Dugroz, when this comes out, if you want to see it. So what we're doing here is, well, I'm all by myself, driving up into the mountains here, and this is about a third of the way up. I'm starting to get some pretty awesome views. I pulled over into this driveway to take a few pictures. It's not like in the Appalachian Mountains in the eastern part of the U.S. where there's like these scenic pullovers that the government makes every now and then. It's just private property. I mean, the road is public, but there's no real good place to pull over. Having said that, I only once I actually got up into the mountain roads, I only passed like 3 cars the whole time. And it was tight. It was like driving in Wales, where like it's a 1 1/4 lane path. So if 2 people come, you have to really slow down and pull over and make sure you don't hit each other. This driveway had kind of a secret garden feel to it, where it's like they don't want people going past the gate. But the gate looked really cool, and you can see these red flowers here. So I stopped and took a picture here. Some super ultra fluffy clouds in the background. Here's a picture of what the road looked like. You can see it's just a little more than 1 lane. And sometimes it went down, sometimes it went up, but there was more up than down on the way to the tippity top. Here's starting to get some Puerto Rico Tourism Bureau shots going on here. And here's where I made it to the pinnacle, or as close to the pinnacle as I could get. Like I said, Finca Elian was closed, but I just a little bit after that, there was a driveway that kind of went diagonal backwards off the road, and it looked like it was a vacation rental, like an Airbnb or something, but the gate was closed. There was no cars. There was a chain across. So I was like, I don't think anybody's using it right now. I'm just going to back in. And I just backed in and sat there for like 20 minutes. It was so gorgeous. Not a single car drove by that entire 20-minute window. It was like you couldn't hear a single artificial noise. The only thing you could hear was like birds and bugs. And the weather was just perfect. It was like when Stan and Chad and I sat out by the beach at that restaurant. We had appetizers. The weather was just, so perfect. Low humidity. Like, I don't know what it was, but it felt like it was, low 70s in temperatures. It was just right. You had these fluffy clouds rolling in over the mountains. It was, love Puerto Rico. Love it, love it, love it so much. This one excursion up into the mountains would have been worth it if that's the only thing I'd done the whole trip. Remember, I said I'd come back to the rental car later. Phil kind of made fun of me, you kids and your rental cars. This is why I do the rental cars, because this is a place you can't go. I don't know. You could probably play an Uber to take you there, but it'd probably be like $150 plus. It was so worth doing. I ended up paying around $250 for the rental car for all 4 days. I would have paid $400 just to have this hour and a half experience, just all by myself in the mountains, total peace, not another human in sight. It was just that epic. I actually opened the tailgate of the vehicle. It was a Mitsubishi Outlander, and just sat there for like 5 minutes, swinging my legs like an 8-year-old, just enjoying the view. Starting to head back down now. And here's the money shot, the real Puerto Rico tourism board shot. Made it look like it was sunset. Now I cheated a little bit, actually tucked the sun behind the tree to make it simulate sunset. But man, doesn't it look like some hobbits are going to come out of there or something like that? As I'm heading back down, there's this house. It's kind of hard to see on the right that's like circular. And it's got this beautifully manicured lawn. Boy, somebody sure wanted to let other people know how nice their house was. Maybe that's Cesar's house. And then to contrast that, once I was about 3/4 of the way down, there was this abandoned convenience store type gas station that was beautiful in a very different kind of way, just like nature reclaiming the property. It had like weeds growing out of the roof and weeds growing out of this vent. It has those, pastel type Caribbean colors. I just really liked that too. Before I move on, I'll catch up on comments here, if there are any. Sam asks, are they allowed toll booths on the freeway? If so, how is it still a freeway? Not sure if that's a joke or not. Puerto Rico does have some toll booths, all the automated kind. And I think it's like $4.50 each day I use it, plus cost of tolls. And they'll send that to Alamo, and then Alamo will bill me. YouTube Experiment says, driving home from work. I'll be listening. Great. Xavier, hey, I talked about you earlier, Xavier, how I love wearing a crossbody bag, and you do too. Has been a member for 15 months. That's great. Thanks, Xavier. I saw a picture where you were doing that. I almost zoomed in on it. And Xavier drops $4.99 as a super chat. Celebrate. Thank you so much, X. A gentleman and a scholar. And then TH Points Paradise drops $3. Says rental car is the way to go. Celebrate. Indeed. Thank you so much, TH. I really appreciate your patronage. Back to the slides. We're getting close to the end here. So I went back and looked at my screenshots. The first picture or video that I took when I started driving up into the mountains, and then the last one I took the different times. So it was 1 hour and 36 minutes. So yeah, it took 1 hour and 36 minutes to go around 30 miles, less than 30 miles. So that was so cool. Cesar, if you're still on, you have a very excellent homeland, my friend. The next thing I was going to do, I went to go meet some other creators at a restaurant called Fogo de Chao or something like that. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. It's actually attached to the Hilton Caribe. It's kind of this little sticky outy piece here. And I wonder if they were closed to the public because it was just our group and like a couple other groups. In fact, it was funny. Some random guy walks in and Cesar standing near the door and says, "Is this the group for HM Investments?" And he's like, no, it's not. And the guy leaves. Then he comes back like 4 minutes later. He's like, "Are you sure this is the HM group?" And Cesar looks at the guy and says, "Do you know who I am? If you don't know who I am, this is not the group for you." And the guy just laughs it off and leaves. That was pretty good. We all laughed. Anyhow, so we ate at Fogo de Chao or whatever it's called. And that's like a Brazilian steakhouse. There was a few non-creators there because there was a few seats left over. But remember how I said Martin's Barbecue was Mr. Roz's favorite restaurant? Now we have Dr. Doog's favorite restaurant because this was fancy. And I don't know if I'm actually qualified or allowed to eat here. I mean, look at that. You have like your fork and your knife and your tongue in different positions. You've got a separate glass for water and champagne. Ugh. And then they have these guys that walk around and bring out like a giant spit with meat on it, and they just cut it off and use the tongs to grab the meat and put it on your plate. And you pay one lump sum and, in theory, get as much as you want. Here's some other pictures of the night. On the left is just some people walking around the buffet out there. I think this guy's name is Jay. Got to meet Jay. Got Phil over here from Philip's Points, and sorry, Phil, I can't remember exactly what you call your channel. Mr. and Mrs. Venture, X, Chase, Stan, Mrs. Joe Barretto. Here's Mrs. Luke. There's Sledge. Here was the salad bar. They have 4 different kinds of salad, Margaret. What do I do? Well, at least they had ranch. That was good. This is one of the meats. I don't even know what it was, but it was really, really good. And here's a picture of Stan the Credit Frog, like pretending to be a waiter with his hand behind his back. He's got like a napkin. He's pouring people's drinks. The reason for this was, as fancy as the restaurant was, the service started out great. It hit a lull in the middle where like the guys with the meat and the waitress were filling drinks just disappeared for like 20 to 30 minutes. It's like none of us knew where she went. So Stan just started filling up everyone's drink. The acting waiter, I suppose you could say. So that was kind of funny. Here's my attempt at a panorama. Kind of worked, kind of didn't. It's really dark, sorry it's hard to see. There's Luke, Carlos, Luke's wife, Mandy, Sledge's wife. Oh, her name escapes me. I'm so sorry. Joe Barretto. And here's our group at the very end, or at least some of the group, not all of it. Pointing at the camera and such. All by myself, just wanna be all by myself. So this photo represents how after we ate, some people went to the casino. I didn't want to do that. Some people just went back to the hotel, but I think everyone or almost everyone was staying at the Caribe, so I had to walk along this pathway from the restaurant to the parking garage where I was literally the only person. So I was trying to take this kind of artsy picture of me like all by myself, like I'm the only person who has to leave and go to a different hotel now. I feel so isolated. Actually, it doesn't bother me at all. I'm totally fine being a loner. I like jumping in and jumping out of social situations. That's cool. The next morning, well, actually, I'll pause here and catch up on comments for a few seconds. Where were we? This one right here. Check Raise, you said, I'm glad you guys all had fun. It's always important to solidify online relationships via an in real life meetup. Congratulations all. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I say like my real life friends and my online friends, but once a year, my online friends become real life friends. Filmo says, hey, it's my 2-year Dugroz anniversary. Membership for 24 months. Celebrate. Way to go, Filmo. I'm guessing it's a 24-month anniversary for a bunch of people because you were one of the first ones to hop on board. QC Man thought something was funny. Check Raise you says, Texas de Brazil is greater than Fogo, in my opinion. QC Man says, you've never heard of Fogo, Doug? It's a well-known chain. Guess not in Iowa. Literally, I had never heard of it till I got to Puerto Rico or people texting me. Fogo de Chao is a fancy restaurant. I know. I'm aware of that now. I didn't know that. I've never been to a place that fancy before. Cesar says, I think the guy got the message. If you don't know me, you don't belong here. That's exactly right. That was hilarious. Stan the Credit Waiter. Exactly. We're getting close to the end. Let's keep on going here. This is the last morning at the DoubleTree. Just some pictures of their breakfast. If you get the buffet, they do have some meat, some yogurty things, some cheese. Those are pretty good. I like how it says mixed fruit and there's literally no fruit up here. They did have a guy who made an omelet of your choice as part of the buffet. Food and beverage credit applied towards that. It's still in the United States, so you don't get the free breakfast. You just get the F&B credit. Some more shots of just the interior of the DoubleTree. It was nice. I was good with it. I didn't need anything fancy with that. I can see a big advantage of staying at the Caribe just for the togetherness aspect. But I'm good with the DoubleTree. I'm not a fancy person. You guys know that. That last morning, I had to go to the airport and leave around like 1. So I asked for a late checkout. Normal checkout is 11, and they did grant it, which was appreciated. I don't know if it was because I was a gold member or not. I decided, hey, I've been here for 4 days. Let's take advantage of their pool and hot tub and just outdoor area in general. So there it is. And there's a shot of the pool. Very lovely. They've got these, what do you call these? Oh, my brain is farting right now. Bungalows? That's not the right word. Somebody's going to know. These little thingamajigs you can sit in out next to the pool. And there's me reading a book. I actually did that just for the shot. I'm not really reading a book. I've got a lot of gray in my beard here. But I did read this book on my trip. This is a book called The Pioneers by David McCullough. And it's my vacation book. So I've been reading it slowly over like the last 5 times that I've flown. I only read it when I'm on an airplane. And I finished on this trip. So good job. It's about the settlement of the Northwest Territory, which is now modern day Ohio in like the very early 1800s. Cabanas, is that what they're called? These little cabanas you can sit under. Thank you. Yep, MR read my mind. Thank you. Appreciate that. Ronald Huezo is here in Waves. How you doing, Ronald? Sorry if I mispronounced that. I think the turret thing is called a cupola, and I've been in that same one, except back in the year 2000. Yeah, they have 3 or 4 of those little cupolas. Thank you for clarifying, MR, that it's called a cabana. You're pulling a LeBron James by not really reading the book. I didn't know if there was some famous thing about LeBron James. I didn't know anything about that. My sister, who lives in Chicago, loves to sit outside in tropical places by a pool or ocean and read books. So I had to rub it in a little. So I took a picture with my tripod. I've actually, if you look carefully here, I've got my right thumb inside the book pushing the button for the Bluetooth device to take the picture. So I sent it to her along with the picture of the temperature in Chicago, which was 35, and then the temperature in San Juan, which was 85, 50-degree difference. And she was like, "Nah, how dare you," or something like that. More shots out in the pool area. There's the hot tub down here, which I did use for a full 15-minute cycle. Just helped loosen up my back and my stiff joints before riding on the plane. I had economy for every leg except the very last one, and I'll come back to that. But from Dallas or Des Moines to Dallas was economy, although I did pick my seat to be a little closer to the front. It was still standard economy. Plain old cattle call to get to San Juan. From San Juan to Dallas, I did upgrade to extra leg room on American. All of this was American. And that gave me like 3 extra inches of leg room. You don't think 3 extra inches is a big deal until you actually need it and then realize, yep, an extra 3 inches is a big deal. So I was glad to have that extra leg room. So sitting in the hot tub to kind of limber up before that was a very good thing. This is very beautiful, isn't it? Hey, who's that random guy there? He looks awfully suave. It started raining just a little bit. One of those pop-up showers, like I mentioned, it wasn't real heavy. So I went and sat in one of these big fluffy chairs, like a canopy over it to get out of the rain for a little bit. It was still very hot though. Yeah, looks very pretty, doesn't it? Oh, there are random observations here. The top floor, when you get off the elevator, the label is PH, which I guess means penthouse. Even though it's just a plain old king room, I felt like, awfully, I'm a big deal kind of thing. So I had the penthouse. I bought a Fanta at the supermarket across the street from the DoubleTree. I just wanted to get like a couple cans, like regular, 12-ounce cans. And they didn't have those. They only had the mini cans, which are like 8-ounce. And you had to buy it like in a pack of 24. Well, that was more expensive. Like, oh, I'll just buy the big one. It was like a 1 liter, not the full 2 liter, but the 1 liter. It was only like $2.50 or something like that. Not too bad. And then I only drank like a third of it the rest of the time. And I liked in the bathroom, they had these shelves. You can never have too many hooks and shelves in a bathroom. It looks like a ladder and they just put stuff on it. So that was a nice feature. And then I start flying home. And first stop at the airport, was returning my Alamo rental car, and that was fine. No issues there, but I did the videoing thing to make sure. This is the Priority Pass Lounge inside the San Juan Airport in Terminal C, as in Charlie, I think. Not a very impressive lounge. I did find it funny, though, that there was a sign that said this is just a closet, so people didn't think it was like a super elite, luxurious area. By the way, I met Gary there, the fan that went with us the first time to La Barranchilla, and I should have mentioned he actually paid for lunch. So if you're watching, Gary, thank you very much. Chad Pennycuff paid for my appetizers too, so thank you, Chad. Got some free food on this trip. This is just a closet, but then it was not a great Priority Pass lounge. It was very, very crowded and full. It was better than nothing, but not by a lot. The food options were pretty lame. You have a tomato, bacon, and mayonnaise sandwich on a very plain Jane bun. I did get a free Coca-Cola and a free Nikini water, not bikini, Nikini, and then just a lettuce salad with some ranch cheese and a tomato. There was no meat. There were no croutons for the salad. So come on, give me some diced ham, give me some croutons at least. And then I did notice there was a QR code. This is Gary's drink that he left behind. There's a QR code up here that you could scan, then bring out. It says, order what food you want. We'll bring it out. You know how many choices there were? 1. Chicken with rice. And it tasted like, it was like had saran wrap over it. It tasted like it'd been sitting on a warmer for 3 hours. It was not good. It was bland and dry and bleh. afraid I was going to get salmonella. So Priority Pass Lounge didn't blow me away. Now that shouldn't be a surprise. It's a Priority Pass Lounge. Got on the plane and I just took this picture of at the end of the jet bridge, the thing they use to control their jet bridge. Have you noticed on like every single one, there's something written in magic marker? Someone takes a Sharpie and writes on, off, auto, or something like that. Every single time. Next time you go on a jet bridge, look for the handwritten instructions on how to turn it on or off or whatever. Layover in Dallas. On the way there, I didn't have enough time to go to a lounge, but on the way back, I did. It was tight because it was like I flew into Terminal C and the lounge in Terminal D, and I had to end up in Terminal A, but I had 2 hours, and Dallas has one of those like monorail type things, takes you where you want to go. So I was able to go to the Capital One Lounge, though I was only there for about 20 minutes. And it also ended up that the terminals were in the good order. So like the one I flew into went this way to where the lounge was, went this way to the one where I was going off. So even though 3 different terminals, it was in the good direction. One thing I like about the Capital One Lounge in Dallas is they have lockers with like a programmable code. So you type in 1, 2, 3, 4, hit a button, and now your code is 1, 2, 3, 4. I actually failed it the first time. I was like, oh crap, did I lock my stuff in? I'm in a big hurry. But no, I did it correctly. So I like not having to carry your stuff around. Put my CPAP and my backpack in there. I actually did a gate check on my rolling bag on the way back. There's a shot of the Capital One Lounge. Way nicer than the Priority Pass Lounge. Way, way nicer. I had this little romantic table for 2 all by myself during my time there. There's a picture of me settling into the Priority Pass Lounge. And this is what I had to eat. Now, Capital One, I said Priority Pass, Capital One. Capital One does like little individual servings, everything, so you just take what you want. I'll tell you what was good and what was not good. The cookie looks delicious, hard as a rock, not good. Cheesecake, mid at best. Deviled egg, mid at best. Biscuit, hard as a rock. It was disgusting with butter. This is like some sort of chili, which was 3 out of 10 maybe. And then they had this braised beef with grits, which was like 9 out of 10. It was amazing. So I was like, screw all this stuff, and went back and got 2 more of the braised beef with grits. In fact, as I was walking by, I saw some lady like standing eating quickly who had like 6 of those. And I'm like, why is she eating 6 of those? And I was like, oh, okay, I know why. Because it's the only good thing. It's like a main dish. So you have to put like 6 of them together to make supper. Other than breakfast in the hotel where I had the omelet, this is all I had to eat all day was that crappy salad and like a third of that crappy chicken at the Priority Pass in San Juan. And then this was my supper at Capital One Lounge in Dallas. After I checked into the Capital One Lounge, they sent me a text message saying, let us know if we can do anything more to make your travels more enjoyable, your Capital One flight crew. I said, is there any salt? And then I found a salt shaker at the front of the line with all the food. So I said, a suggestion would be to have more salt shakers, several. There was only one. I guess we're all supposed to share it. So, yeah, why would they only have 1 salt shaker for the whole lounge? That doesn't make any sense. They never responded to my suggestion. I'll see if there's any comments that I need to catch up on here. QC Man said, someone from your church or job definitely wondering how you're such a baller to be going to Puerto Rico just a few months after taking your family to Europe. Yep, I've done videos before. One of my members only videos, one of the very first one is the fake rich dilemma, where you look a lot wealthier than you are. And I'm going to actually talk about that a little more in the not too distant future. Filmo says 3 hours in economy is about my max. My knees just won't allow it. Yeah, you're taller than I am. So, and I'm 6'7", so you're what, pushing 7 feet, Filmo? QC Man says, Filmo, you and Barreto were holding hands in business class, right? Yuri says, I went to the Escape Lounge. It was also pretty lame. Party Pass was below cromulent. It was. It didn't even make the cromulent standard. It was sub-cromulent. Filmo says, Gary was awesome. Bought all the women at our meal flowers. Quite the gentleman for sure. Well, hey, a gentleman and a scholar. Thanks, Gary, if you're watching. QC Man says, was there a long wait for the Capital One Lounge? It was listed as a 15-minute wait, but it only ended up being about 10 or 11 minutes. If you go to your app with Capital One and click on lounges, you can actually join the wait list from the app. You don't even have to get there. So my strat is as soon as I land, see what the wait list is, wait time is, try to time it out about right and go on the list while walking there. Filmo says, Barreto had a hell of a time even getting on that flight. I think he ended up in a middle seat in row 31. I did wave at him from 2A, though. Oh, sorry, Joe. Yuri says the Capital One Lounge at Dallas Fort Worth is great. I don't know why they don't all have lockers. The one in Washington, D.C. does not have lockers. I don't think I've been to the one in Dulles because I only flew in. I never flew from. The one in Denver, I don't think has lockers. Poor Joe. I agree. Yuri says, I went to Miami Corona Beach House restaurant and used 2 passes from Prestige for $60. Excellent. Prestige. Which Prestige? Oh, the City Prestige, which has the old good version of Priority Pass. That's right. Mike says, did anybody recognize you while traveling? Fans? Nope. Not until I got to the meetup. When I checked into the DoubleTree, no one recognized me. When I went to get Stan and the boys, nobody recognized me. I was driving in the mountains, no one recognized me. The only people that recognized me were the people going to places where I was supposed to be there. Sam says, avoid eggs. I'm not yoking here. QC Man says, nice, Yuri. They let you use 2 passes one person, or were you with a guest? Yeah, I figured it out. I saw a lot of City Prestige. You had one. Gary had one. I think Rewards Master had one. Yuri recognized me at DoubleTree. Okay, yeah, that's true. But you probably knew I was staying there, right? Because we talked about it beforehand. Yeah, Yuri walked right up to me and said, hello, Dugroz, Yuri G. I hope you guys don't mind when I do your accents like Cesar and Yuri. QCM said, did you experience any major delays? No, none at all. I was good to go. I did get a text 24 hours before my flight home saying, like, our flight might be oversold or canceled. So if you want to play Let's Make a Deal, click a button and we'll see how much money we can offer you. And I clicked the highest offer, which was $450, plus I think a free upgrade or maybe just reposition, put me on a different flight or something. And they never contacted me to play Let's Make a Deal. DEM loves this Prestige. Yuri says 2 passes for one person. They even allowed me to use 3 in the past. Wow. Must be getting a lot of food, or it's an expensive place. One of the two. Corona Beach House in Miami. Probably a little more expensive than the restaurant inside of the Manchester airport. Dugroz had a rush in the last impression. That's where Yuri's from, the Soviet Union. DEM says, Miami is one of my home airports. I know exactly where you went, Yuri. It's very convenient. All right. I'll finish up here. This is my final flight leg from Dallas to Des Moines. I'm like, doggone it, I'm going to treat myself. That's why I have points and miles. So I did take the $90 upgrade from cattle class to first class on that last leg. It was only an hour and a half, but man, after riding in economy with 3 extra inches of leg room for 5 hours plus, it was really nice. Let me tell you. I texted these pictures to my wife and she said something like, that lady sitting next to you sure looks eager to engage in conversation. She was perfectly friendly. She said she'd started the day in Cordoba or Madrid, somewhere in Spain, something like that. So she was just exhausted, but exchanged a friendly greeting. And then she put on her mask and her neck thing and her AirPods and went to bed immediately before we even took off. So yeah, got to sit in 3, it's either B or C, whichever one's on the left side of the plane. 3rd row of business class. I paid for it with my Aeroplan card, so I'm going to, boom, pay myself back on that one. That's the final shot right there. This was, I think, the official meetup photograph here. So many friends, so many people, so many fans, so many creators. Just, if you're wondering, I'm back left here. Well, look for the awesome crossbody bag. Just loved it so much. Glad that I could do it. Thank you to everyone who showed up. Thank you for everyone who has supported my channel in the past or present. That makes it easier for me to do these kinds of things. I really, really appreciate it. The lady next to you looks like she's ready to sleep for 5 hours. Well, she only got an hour and a half, maybe an hour 45 to get from Dallas back to Des Moines. All right, so now we're going to transition into my community tab questions. If I can figure out where I put my phone. I just heard it buzz a moment ago. Oh, I know where it is. It's in my crossbody bag. So I've got a pouch for my phone. On the back, I've got a pouch for my passport. And that's where I keep my AirTag. Very convenient, lays flush. In the front is where I keep my travel wallet. So when I go around, I keep 2 wallets, one for travel-oriented cards, one for other cards. I would pull it out, but apparently I've already put it away. So every Friday, somewhere between 5 and 7 p.m. roughly, I do a community tab post where I put a picture up. Plus, you can guess where the picture was taken. Plus, you can ask me anything related to the topic at hand. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that up and we can all look at it together here. Got to go to my own channel. Hopefully the music doesn't automatically play, but sometimes it does. Here we go. Okay. So this is the picture we're talking about here. There's a picture of me in some sort of industrial complex. What might that be? There's a second picture of some machinery with big pipes and stuff. Here's a picture of me wearing a hat. Looks kind of some sort of natural fiber, like a fuzzy hat. So that's all supposed to be a clue to help you guess where the picture was taken. QC Man says 1.626, of course. Excuse me, 1.625. Yes, I will pay myself back. Functionally 1.625. QC Man says you travel with your passport even when it's not international. I never do. You know, I did in this case. It's like a plan B backup in case I lose my wallet. My other thought was, this is kind of wild, but you know, the Dominican Republic is like right there. The Bahamas or the British Virgin Islands are like right there. Like, what if Gary or somebody's like, hey, I love all you guys so much. I'm going to pay for you all to take a boat over to wherever. Like, oh, I better have my passport if I'm going to do that. I guess. Do you have to take a passport if you're arriving by boat? I honestly don't know. Sam says 720p is the highest quality I can watch the stream in. I will work on that, see if I can get it upgraded here. Yuri says I always travel with my passport just in case. Yeah. What if you end up taking a last-minute flight to Canada or something? All right, where were we? Let's go through the community tab comments. The first guess was Bob Travels guesses. This is a picture of the interior of the hydroelectric dam on the Snake River in Idaho Falls, Idaho. That is a terrific guess, Bob, but it is wrong. I'm going to give you 200 Dugroz points just for having a good guess. Let's make that 250. 250 Dugroz points just for a good guess. And S. Beery says, this is a workplace that would not pass inspection according to OSHA, according to my player too. You don't think this looks like a place that would pass OSHA, a crappy little gate right up next to a giant conveyor belt, or not conveyor belt, but like a drive belt that's going 100 miles an hour that literally you could just reach over the rail, stick your hand in and get it ripped off? That's a fun comment, but not accurate. I said it's very old, so likely it was built before OSHA type stuff. Philmo asks, is this Eli Whitney's cotton gin? I like the reference, but no. And then the actual real guess comes from Luke D. Johnson, who says, machine pictures, the Trefew Woolen Mills located in the village of Trefew, Conway Valley in northern Wales. Ding, 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 ding. Celebrate. 1,000 Dugroz points for you, Luke D. Johnson. So let's go ahead and look that up on a map now. And Trefriw. I don't speak Welsh, but when we were on vacation last summer, we came across this place, and there was a random guy walking his dog on a path that went by us, and he said something like, look down there, you can see the village. And he says it's two Welsh words. One means town, the other means hill. So it's basically the town on the hill. And I said, how do you pronounce it? And the closest I can imitate is Trefew. It's pronounced Trefew, although I sound very like French or Scandinavian when I say that. So that's probably not right. Here it is on a map, Trefew Woolen Mills. It's basically a place where you can look at woolen things. Let's go down to the reviews here. Oh, hey, some guy named Dugroz left some reviews on it. Let's see what his reviews are. He said, I went here in the summer of 2025. Very neat place. You can walk around and see where the water come in, how that powers the place, and the textiles being made. 5 out of 5 would recommend. Someday I'm going to tell my grandkid this is where all the string is made. So yeah, I didn't actually buy that hat. I kind of wonder if I should have, but it was like 80 pounds, which would be over $100. I didn't take this picture. Somebody else did. But yeah, basically it's an actual woolen mill still in use. They make a lot of this. wool into string. There's a lot of sheeps in whale, that kind of stuff. Hey, that picture looks familiar. Here's that picture. Here's a picture called Mill Shop with Deborah's out in front. And Deborah's shopping, not shopping, just looking at how the string is made. Here's like the guy making the string, and here's where the water comes in. So yeah, that's it. I like that picture. So good job, Luke D. Johnson. All right, now I do have one community tab question, which is more about the theme of the day, and it's super pertinent. No, I had two. One was from Ron Burney. So what credit card rewards were you able to make use of during the meetup? I'm not sure if you mean credit cards I use for spending. Probably not. I think what you mean is redemption, on the redemption side. So I'll go over that here. Let me see if I can find it. I put it in my folder over here. So let's review what RIP Trip stands for. R stands for rental. That's a car to get you where you want to go. I stands for in, like a hotel. You gotta sleep, bro. P is for plane, flying around, something, something, and now you know, and that's a RIP Trip. You're good to go. I forgot the words to my own rap. So R stands for rental car. I paid for the rental car on the Capital One Venture X because I no longer have any US Bank Altitude Reserve points. I'm so sad that that's getting nerfed. Even though it's still working up until December, I didn't have enough points to get the rental, so I decided not to go that route. I didn't want to save points till next year, not knowing what the transfer partners are. Aeroplan card is secondary, so can't put it on there unless you're outside your home country, and Puerto Rico is a part of my home country. So that didn't work. So it's like, well, Venture X, I guess I get to go that route and earn 2X. It was booked through Orbitz, I think. That was the cheapest place I could find. Just kind of want to search around, find a bunch of different prices. So not really anything special for the rental car. I'll skip over in, go to hotel, or go to plane. The plane trip was paid for a couple different ways. The flight from Des Moines to Puerto Rico was booked the old-fashioned way, using the Chase portal, 1.5 cents per point. I'm still grandfathered into the old way of doing it on any points I earned prior to October 27th. So just got the Chase portal fired up, and I've never had any problems with the Chase portal, even with like buying upgrades and stuff. Just put in my American Airlines frequent flyer number, and it flows through to the American app, and 30 seconds later pops up, and you can upgrade, you can choose seats, all that. No problem whatsoever. Earned points on it. The flight home was a leftover Amex Business Platinum credit. My wife doesn't even have the Business Platinum anymore, but at the time I booked and then rebooked, we did. So remember when I was originally like a year ago getting ready to fly to England this coming summer, I had the whole Condor debacle where I got condoid and I had to change flights like 7 times. One of those was a repositioning flight from Minneapolis to New York City. And through Alaska Airlines, which at that time was not yet renamed Atmos, I booked 3 of those flights for my wife and my 2 kids, but I couldn't get the one for myself. So I booked that using my wife's Business Platinum on American Airlines. Remember, the Business Platinum used to give you a 35% rebate on any airline if booking business or first class. This was domestic first class, so I was able to get the 35% rebate, which was functionally around 1.53 cents per point. Had to cancel it because we ended up flying out of Des Moines, not Minneapolis. So basically what Amex does is if it's a flight that is changeable but not refundable, so like main cabin, not basic economy, if it's main cabin equivalent or something like that, or better, in my case it was first class, I can use that again within a year, but it's really restrictive. It has to be the same passenger and the same airline. So I had to find a flight on American. So for the return flight, I used that leftover credit that was in the Amex portal. No new spending. It was just a use it or lose it kind of thing. And then as it relates to the actual DoubleTree, I did this in an earlier, but I'll do it now, earlier live stream or something. The DoubleTree in San Juan, Puerto Rico, at the time I did my live stream, was 65,000 points per night, but I booked it at 60,000 points per night. The first night I was there, the cash rate was 474, and that was 0.73 cents per point. We did find out later there was a convention of like businessmen, busy businessmen there the same weekend, and the New York Democratic Party was having like a fun post-election party because, the New York City mayor is a Democrat. So apparently they all flew to Puerto Rico and had a celebration. Many of them were at the Caribe, I was told. So rates were really high, like the Friday night, kind of high Saturday night. Then they really dropped off. So the first night I would have got 0.73 cents per point. And it was actually a little better than that because my first 2 nights I booked in before I looked up the prices. I booked in at 60,000 points. So if I take 474 divided by 60,000, that's 0.79 cents per point. So I got 0.79 on nights 1 and 2. Night 3, I used a free night certificate. Now, I know you might think, but Doug, why would you use an FNC for less than $500 in value? Well, because it's expiring in 14 days, moron. That's why. It was either use it or lose it. So I decided to use it. I know I've said before, I'm not really a resort kind of guy, although after seeing the Caribe, I could maybe be convinced. But free night certificates are a little bit of a troubled relationship for me. The last night I was, cancel that. The last night I was there, night number 4, it came in at less than half a cent per point. It was a $263. So I could have used the free night certificate on the first night, got $470 of value. I could have used it the last night, got $263 of value. I got a free night. This is one of those games you can play in points and miles where you can say, I got almost $500 in value. Well, it would have been the exact same outcome whether you use the first night or the last night. You just apply it to the first night so you can brag about the epic value you get. Lest you're thinking, why didn't you just pay cash? 4.4 cents per point isn't great. It's because I have the points I want to use them. A lot of my current Hilton points come from when my parents were spending down their money and they had no choice, paying for assisted living and nursing home stuff. And a lot of that, in fact, the lion's share of it went on a Hilton card. And of course, they transfer it to me. I handle all their bills. So I'm the one that's actually pushing the buttons, but I have asked their permission before. I totally have their okay to do it. My dad's in a nursing home. He's not going to stay in a Hilton anytime soon. So they transfer it to either me or my sister. So I have a truckload of Hilton points. Whether they're worth a lot or not, I better use them. I think I had the points I used plus the points in reserve all put together were over 500,000. So maybe not a truckload, but a fair amount. So that is how I booked everything. And then, of course, I used my Aeroplan card as the card on file. So when I paid for parking, when I paid for meals in the hotel, I had that charged to my hotel room, and then I'm a boom, pay myself back. So there was like $120 left over in incidental with parking and meals after food and beverage credits were removed, after my $50 that went on the Hilton card was taken off. By the way, that's a good question. If you get the Expire and go with Diamond, do you get free parking as a Diamond member at Hilton's? Does anybody know? Because, I've held off on upgrading to the Aspire, but if I get free parking, that was $25 a night, 4 nights, that's $100. So I'll have to take that into account also. Well, I already did. That would be another reason to get the Aspire. It's good to know. So yeah, there you go. I think that's all I had. Got some snacks, some over-the-counter meds. I didn't have a ton of expenses on this trip. It wasn't a very expensive trip. That's the nice thing. I had $4.50 of laundry. I think I left $1.50 in tips, cash tips. I mean, when I ate at a restaurant, I tipped properly on my credit card. Let's see here. Where were we? Philmo says, I always bring my passport because I keep putting off getting that real ID. My posture gets worse as the live stream goes on. Yeah, I finally got it right before we went to the United Kingdom just because I wanted to have a backup plan. MR says, why get a real ID? Just use your global entry card or passport. QC says, Philmo, if you have the global entry card, that's real ID compliant. I've used that before. I finally got the real ID in New York. Sam says, machines are pretty armless to me, Dugroz reports. Where's the H in armless? The same place as herbs. Well, if you go into that factory and don't obey the barriers, you might walk out armless. In the PR pics where all you guys are wearing the same hat, did you guys buy it at the same place? No. So there was this really I'm going to say weird thing. It might end up being awesome. I just don't know yet. I don't know about how sponsorships and stuff work. Apparently, Joe Barretto was somewhere like 6 months ago and held the door open for a lady. And she said, thank you. And then noticed like something related to credit cards on his shirt or YouTube. And she's like, oh, what's that mean? He says, oh, I'm a YouTuber. She's like, really? I work for Money, the parent group of Money Magazine. Like, do you want a sponsorship? And he's like, well, I don't know about that. But tell you what, do you guys have any offices in Puerto Rico? She's like, yeah, we have an office in Puerto Rico. I've got a bunch of friends coming. You want to host an event for us? So before the meetup started, for not the regular fans, but for the content creators, Money Magazine had this little, like, I don't know what you call it, like a curtain raiser event, like where you go in an hour early, and they had hats at the door where you could put hats on and walk around, take pictures with hats on. Everybody was doing it. So I decided to do it too. I didn't line up any sponsorships, but I got some free appetizers and pop and water. So that was fun to do. If any of you guys get major sponsorships from them, let me know. There was a joke going around about some non-conventional sponsorships like hair loss products and others. So if you hear me end up doing an ad for this live stream is sponsored by Hims. Do you have hair loss? I don't. But if you do, get Hims. Except I am getting more and more pronouncement in my widow's peak every day. MC Dugroz. I don't remember what that's a reference to, but that's all right. Will you get in trouble for chasing Chase? Nope. There's a guy named Chase there. QCMN says, if they give everyone, including those who've already used the regular $325 credit, the new $325 portal credit, the USBR will be worth it for next year, even with the nerf. After that, debatable. Well, all I can say is we'll have to wait and see. QCMan wants to know if I saw Zohan Mandami. That's the new mayor of New York, right? I did not. Yuri has seen him. Did you see him in Puerto Rico? QCMan loves the well, actually voice. Cesar got 1.9 cents per point for his 5-night Caribe Hilton redemption. Ooh, Wepa. Way to go. QCMan says, you stayed at the hotel as well. I figured you just commute from your home daily. Great redemption, though. Cesar, I stayed 5 nights. I live 2 hours away and want to spend time with everyone. Thanks, Cesar. He says, while there, I used the $200 Aspire credit and an $80 Amex offer attached to the Aspire for spending $400 on Hilton. Awesome. QCM response 2 hours is a long commute. You're being a good host. And King Itachi. I don't remember if we've met King Itachi. Good to see you. I'm 2 hours behind. I'm catching up at double speed. I just got to the Vacasa part. I'm still sad about it. I'm currently at a Vacasa in Vermont. Awesome. Way to go. MC Dugroz was from when I was rapping. I do actually have a video called the Rip Trip Rap. Go find it. It's like my least popular video. Sam reminds everyone to smash the like button. It's totally free. Donut, donut, donut. All right, we've got one more community tab question here. And this is from Ron Byrne, I believe. Yep. Ron asks, what credit card? Nope, that's the one I just asked. Thanks, Ron. Luke D. Johnson, theme of the day question. What was the biggest insight or takeaway from the Puerto Rico meetup that attendees are still talking about? That's a great question. I don't have a great answer. I'm sorry, Luke. What's kind of funny and kind of ironic is you kind of assume like all of us creators and fans get together and we love credit cards. We're going to spend all of our time talking about credit cards. We haven't on any of the 3 trips. We probably spend 80% of our time just talking about normal stuff like, oh, what's your job like? Do you have any family? What was traveling like? What's your favorite thing from childhood? You know, what kind of fruit do you like? You know, hey, I went to this place. It was totally awesome. Not a lot about points and miles per se. I got one really minor tip about some shenanigans, which I won't share here. If you're a channel member, I might eventually, like I said, pretty minor tip, not anything major. What else? I guess it kind of reinforced the idea that location is probably more important than getting epic cents per point in that sense. Yeah, not a lot of talk about credit cards themselves, interestingly. Even though I asked a few people, hey, what's good for you in the world of points and miles? Just because I wanted to kind of get that topic going. That was the 20%. And a lot of people loving Citi right now, it seems like, especially with their transfer to American at 1-to-1. A lot of people just saying, here's the sign-up bonus that I'm working on. That was kind of cool. One of the funniest comments was this. I'll say this is my biggest takeaway. A comment from Cesar Joel, and I don't know if this is after he had a couple drinks or not, but he came up to me and said, "You know what, Dugroz? You are a city guy. Whether you want to admit it or not, you are a city guy." CITI, like Citigroup, the credit cards. He's like, when I watch your videos about the path method and how you do your spending, your everyday spending, and you're a groceries and gas kind of an ordinary guy, and when you're not going for a sign-up bonus, it's hard to deny that Citi is the best ecosystem for you, mi hermano. So just embrace it. Don't fight it. You're a Citi guy. Do you remember that conversation? I'm like, you know what? He's right. And I cried briefly, and then I decided to embrace it. I'm a Citi guy, so I am going to get my double cash. I'm going to upgrade to either the Strata Elite or the Strata Premier, one of the two, and I'm just gonna lean into Citi when I'm not working on a sign-up bonus. But I do hope to be going for some sign-up bonuses in the near future. So I'd say that was probably my biggest takeaway. I just need to acknowledge the fact that I'm a Citi guy, whether I like it or not. That is the end of everything that I have planned. I'll give you one last chance if you want to drop a tip jar tip or a super chat or anything like that. I do need to acknowledge that I did get a tip, though. This is $18 from MR, who says, "Keep up the good work, sir." And there's a GIF of some guy giving a thumbs up. So thank you, MR. Celebrate. I can put MR on the screen, even though it's a tip jar tip. MR gave $18 on the tip jar. Thank you so much for your patronage. If you're wondering what the tip jar is, there's a link in the description box. Just a different way to give me money. And I thank you for that. Let's see here. Cesar says, I had too many mojitos, but I agree with Cesar Joel. Okay, now that you can admit that, I have another funny story to tell about you, Cesar. So towards the end of the meetup, when I could tell you'd had 3 or 4 drinks, you walked up to me and put your arm around me and says something like this. I don't remember the exact wording. You know, Dugroz, you and I are hermanos. We are best friends. We are buddies. I don't care what anybody says. This, and then like some random guy walks by. This guy, I've been his fan since he had like 400 subscribers. We are best friends. And that was kind of funny. But then you did it 2 more times the same night. It's like that scene in Elf. I don't care what they say. We are buds. So I'm glad that when you get slightly intoxicated, you're a happy guy. Sage words from Cesar, indeed. Rewards Match says, welcome to the City Club. Indeed. I saw your prestige and was slightly jealous. Sam says, thank you for that fantastic stream. Appreciate that. Stu TK says, I'm on the City train myself, but it's a long 2-year journey for better or worse. Yuri is a City guide. Rewards Master, thumbs up, says QC Man. Cesar says, I had too many mojitos, but we are buds. It is true. We are buds. City is an awesome ecosystem, says Sleepy Rod. Unless you're Matt Clausen, then they're the worst. I had that one really bad experience with the customer service. I'm trying to put that behind me and pull out. I think I'll be able to. Mi hermano. It is pretty awesome. Everything is awesome. All right, let's review who contributed, and then we'll end the live stream here. Bill Wright became a member. That's just as good as a $3 donation. Studio TK gave a $1.49 super sticker. 1 membership. That's just as good as $3. Tom Graber gifted 1 membership. That's just as good as 1 membership. Mike Newland, also known as Miles of Smiles, gave 20 memberships. That's as good as a $60 super chat. Celebrate. QC Man gifted 1 additional membership. Rex Blind gifted $1.99. Sam K celebrated 9 months of membership. LN gave $1.49 in the super sticker. And Filmos World also gave $1.49. And then over in the tip jar, MR dropped in $18. Thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate it. DEM says City for the win, and about time it gets the attention it deserves, and we're all hoping for no nerfs. Amaya Karim, Ayama Karim donates $2. I'm sorry I started with your name, but thank you. I appreciate it. Celebrate. Ayama Karim. Thank you. I really appreciate that. So awesome. All right, everybody, I appreciate you. Thank you for your friendships. You're all mi hermanos. especially Cesar, but all of you especially. And I appreciate you. As always, may your spending be frugal and may your points be plenteous. Bye, everyone.